Today at the House of Mario, let's talk about that Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom trailer, Mario's first silver screen appearance in the Super Mario Bros. Movie. There's some controversy in the Pokémon TCG community, and what I learnt about myself while playing Metroid. If you love Nintendo, video games, and the culture that surrounds them, you've found your home. Come on in. G'day everybody, and welcome to the House of Mario, the South Australian Nintendo podcast that is backed by a 120 Power Star rating. I'm your host Drew Agnew, and the doors to episode 249 are open. Hope you're going well. Hope you're having a fantastic day wherever and whenever you are listening to the show. Very appreciate you visiting me at the House of Mario. Sometimes it gets a little bit lonely, but you know, it is what it is. No, it's not too lonely. I've got my family. It's good. It's very nice. It's been an absolutely massive couple of weeks for Nintendo, and I've been a little bit sick. So I've been putting off recording the episode. I don't want to be coughing and doing whatever too much, but I just can't seem to shake it off. I just cannot seem to shake it off. So I've got to get back into the studio and record an episode, and we've got plenty to talk about. This might be the busiest time of year to be a Nintendo fan. Honestly, this might be it. This might be the magnum opus of Nintendo podcasting. We've got a brand new Mario movie. The hype for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom is just massive with the latest trailer dropping, and I want to jump straight into it. No mucking around. And guys, this trailer was just absolutely extraordinary for Tears of the Kingdom. For those that don't know, if you're living under a rock, Nintendo released the third trailer for Tears of the Kingdom, the last trailer, the last bit of, main marketing leading up to the May 12th release of Tears of the Kingdom next month. And we didn't know a lot about the game. Nintendo had been very secretive about the title, and we sort of going into it thinking, yeah, it's going to be a great game. Cannot wait for it. It's a sequel to, you know, one of the best Nintendo-published, Nintendo-made games of all time. I think we're expecting pretty grand things from it, but you know, we haven't had that real kick in the butt just to really get excited. And this trailer was it. So just hats off to the marketing team at Nintendo of America, or whoever put this video together, whatever team of people decided to orchestrate this and basically redo what they did in early 2017 with the Breath of the Wild trailer, which was at that really weird Switch presentation they did in Japan. So we're basically sitting there getting information about Switch. This is where we got our release date and all of that, with all the Nintendo spokespeople coming out on stage and doing like an old-fashioned presentation, which was really weird. We got the information we needed, but it was strange. We even got members from EA who were obviously jet-lagged, saying, oh yeah, we love Nintendo, and I called my son Luigi because, oh God, I just love Mario Brothers so much. And so I was like, what the hell is this? What's going on? But they just, at the end, like, all right, here's the trailer for Breath of the Wild. Oh, cool. Yeah, here we go. And it just blew my socks off back then. I think it just sort of collapsed the internet just as far as hype and excitement went. And they did it again. And I know what it's like being a Nintendo fan. Well, obviously, I am a Nintendo fan, but I think, you know, we can look at fan bases for whether it's different franchises, different consoles, different hobbies, whatever have you, and there's always the funny sort of weird aspect. And I think when it comes to Nintendo fans, we get excited about pretty much everything. You could have made the joke that we'll get excited over cardboard, but they literally did that, Nintendo, with Labo, and we didn't get that excited, so we're not quite as bad as maybe that stereotype goes. But so I tried to keep myself a little bit reserved, you know, sit back a bit, really think about it, like, you know, is this worth getting excited about? Is this going to be just like a fantastic game just to really sink our teeth into? And this is a safe place. This is a refuge for Nintendo fans. Bloody oath, we're going to get excited about this, everybody. This trailer was just amazing. I am so hyped for the game. You know, it's been a slow build-up, just like, oh, I can't wait for that game. And a couple of weeks ago, show us some gameplay. Oh, wow, that looks pretty cool. You can put a rock on a stick. Fantastic. Like a rock on a stick? Or a rock on a shield? You could put a bit of meat on an arrow? Like, what is this game? You can make a little boat and sail across. Goodness gracious, Enuma. What treats have you got cooking in your game here? Apart from cooking, obviously. But this trailer, it showed off so many aspects of the game just through little tidbits, little gameplay snippets, so many things to pause, have a look at. You know, we can sort of gather from the trailer that dungeons are coming back, boss fights. Not confirmed or anything like that, who knows, could be wrong, but it was definitely alluring to that. And it's just like the aspects of exploring the sky. Looks like you're exploring a lot underground as well, which is very exciting. This game is kind of going from like a 2D plane of exploring Hyrule to exploring like a cube. You're exploring the skies, you're exploring Hyrule as it is, you're exploring the underground. There's going to be a lot to it. I think this game is just going to be so feature rich. It's going to make Breath of the Wild look kind of bare bones, and that's kind of weird to say because that game had a lot of content in it, which is just very, very exciting. This is going to be a game of the generation for Switch, I think. I never want to overhype myself, but I feel safe. I feel safe when it comes to Zelda and overhyping things. So I hope I don't overhype you if you're like, you know, you're sitting on the fence and you listen to this and you're like, oh my God, this guy's bloody excited about this Zelda game. God, I cannot wait to dive into it. It's going to be good. And it might disappoint you. And I have seen some people online sort of being like, I don't understand why everyone's so excited. And that's fair enough. But I hope you have something in your life that makes you feel like I feel about this trailer. It was just absolutely extraordinary. And the day afterwards, I was at work, I was sharing, and I was listening to this trailer, just the audio on loop. It was just amazing. Like, I'm going to play a bit now. I've basically broken out the trailer into little segments, like little, how it sort of builds up. Like, for example, this bit here, like the build up of the trailer is just extraordinary, and it just hypes me up so much. I want to inject it into my veins right now. And you can have a bit of a taste as well. Like just this bit here, just Jesus Christ. It gives me goosebumps even hearing it. And I was not expecting this. I was not expecting it. Like, hear about it that they're going to be live streaming it. I'm watching it just on my phone in bed when I was almost asleep. I'm like, well, that was pretty bloody good. But it wasn't until the next day where it really sunk in. And I could just gush about like the music in this trailer forever. Like when the saxophone kicks in, when it like does this. Oh! I like cut it just so it like the bit where it just like, just the goosebumps just smack you all over the skin. Your hair stands up. And like I said, if you're not hyped about this trailer, I hope you have something in your life that really brings out the joy and the love. So the music is absolutely fantastic. And the music in the original trailer as well for Breath of the Wild, which I talked about before, was really great too. But we didn't really see much of it in the actual game. And I think one hope for me is that we do see more of this music implemented into the game itself. Because while I think the music works great for Breath of the Wild, how it's very sort of, you know, the world's basically regrowing and it's very quiet and the music represents that. But I think now with a lot more on the line, Hyrule sort of banding together, you're seeing all these characters basically coming together to help Link. And they've got their own sort of rebellion is what it looks like. So, man, it looks great. So I hope they have some more of this music in the actual game itself, some more Zelda-esque music rather than just maybe the very end boss fight. But we have some questions to sort of keep the Zelda discussion going. And I was very happy to see this question in the Discord from my good friend Brost Witt, as you would remember from the House of Mario podcast when he was the co-host here. So he asks, judging by the last Tears of the Kingdom trailer with the return of Ganondorf and the importance of the sky, do you think that this game is going to have heavy ties to Skyward Sword? Why not? And that's an aspect I didn't even touch on. Ganondorf, it's the first time Ganondorf is going to be back in the Legend of Zelda series since Twilight Princess 17 years ago. And that's crazy to think about because that's when I got into Zelda. That was my first Zelda game. That was the game that made me go, this series absolutely rocks. And it was sort of the stepping stone of becoming more of a hardcore Nintendo fan, not just Pokemon, Mario, etc. You know, that was a stepping stone into more franchises. So just thinking that Ganondorf, the main villain, the antagonist, has not been in the series for that long is really kind of baffling in some ways. It sort of made me go, oh, wow, really? which is cool to see him back, especially in the context for what's going on in the story or what we think's going on in the story. But as far as the ties to Skyward Sword, I think it's if there was no ties to Skyward Sword at all, and there's like floating islands and you're jumping out of the sky, and they just re-released Skyward Sword basically a little bit over a year ago, and there's no ties whatsoever, that would be fascinating. If there was just no ties whatsoever. But there's definitely going to be ties to Skyward Sword. And for people who are really into Zelda lore, I love Zelda lore, but I can't say I'm an expert on it. I do sort of look around the internet and stuff and find interest in what's going on with these games. But it's obvious that Nintendo wanted the last game before Tears of the Kingdom to be released was Skyward Sword, and I think there is a reason for that. And there's a lot of theories going around that basically they're going to be like a trilogy of games. So Skyward Sword, Breath of the Wild, and Tears of the Kingdom, each representing their own side of the Triforce, and that this game is like a prequel to Skyward Sword in some ways, and you can sort of see in the logo with the dragon sort of looping around eating its tail, with Skyward Sword being the very first game in the series, and then all of the timeline sort of trickling down to Breath of the Wild, and then Tears of the Kingdom being the sequel to Breath of the Wild. You could sort of see that this might be the game that sort of loops it back to the start of the timeline when the Triforce and these characters were sort of set in place, and why we see reincarnations of Zelda, Link, and Ganon/Ganondorf from Demise, the main villain of Skyward Sword. So there's a lot to sort of think about, and we will not know, but we can sort of have little guesses and all that about what's going on in these trailers, and it looks absolutely fascinating. I cannot wait. I think one of the most interesting parts of Skyward Sword was the lore and the story. It had a lot of other weaknesses, but I think going back to it now, if you haven't gone back to it on Switch, I think that might be a game to pull out of your backlog and get finished before Tears of the Kingdom, just to get that little bit of context, because I think you will get a lot out of the lore from what's going on in the sky and going on with Hyrule in Tears of the Kingdom. So very, very exciting. I cannot wait for this game. God, it's got me excited. Oh, just that music we played before. Like if during the show I sort of lose my energy in that, I'm going to be playing one of these snippets from the trailer. It's absolutely amazing. So I cannot wait. I also got another question from Adeoye who asked, will Tears of the Kingdom suffer from having a similar map from Breath of the Wild? And interesting question. It's definitely, just a good question to ask. Like, I was using the same map. Will it be a little bit boring? Just straight off the bat, no, I don't think so. But I haven't really seen this discourse online, but I heard people sort of like the rebuttal against it. But people were saying that this is just going to be like a $70 DLC for Breath of the Wild. And so it's kind of an interesting take, considering that like this is a sequel. So I don't know exactly what people want. That's like, oh, they want a completely different art style and just completely different sort of game design and all of that. It's like, we want a sequel. We want to explore the world and see how it's changed. And the biggest strength of Breath of the Wild was the environmental storytelling and how you're exploring Hyrule and you're picking up things, and especially once you've got the memories that you're finding on your travels for what's happened in those specific areas, I felt was really powerful for a lot of the game. And the part that I remember the most was just like the battlefield with like all these I forgot what they're called now, the Guardians. The Guardians, they're all basically destroyed. There's heaps of them. You're like, oh my god, some shit went down here. And you see one of the memories and see what happened. You're like, oh my god. And I thought that was absolutely incredible how there's so many areas within the game that you can see that something's happened, but you might have to look into it or read something or see a memory. And I think that environmental storytelling was really cool. And even to the point where there's a little section when you go to like the Zonai ruins. And personally for me, I didn't pick up on this when I was playing the game. I went through it and, oh yeah, cool, like, whatever. But that place was just so important for the setup of Tears of the Kingdom. And you could have easily missed it, like myself, or you could have really dug into it and be like, oh, this might be where the next game's going. And if you were on that, that mindset, you would have been right, which is just absolutely fascinating. So Personally, for me, I like that it's actually going to be using the same Hyrule. How we are going to be seeing how things have changed in the few years, how the bringing back of Ganondorf has just ruined some areas and maybe made some other races, I guess, rise up as far as who's going to side with Ganon in the Triforce of Power and how all that goes. Who picks the wrong side, pretty much, the evil side, and what's going on with the Zonai, why these islands have rise to the sky. We don't know why that's happened. And, the underground sections, and I think there's going to be a lot to it. It's not just going to be the same map. And even on a more basic sort of level with a Link Between Worlds, how that used the map from Link to the Past. And that was a lot more basically, not like exactly the same, but it's a lot more similar to what we're going to be experiencing in this game. I thought it works really well for that game as well, how they introduced the different mechanics within the same world and how it sort of played with your expectations. And it's sort of a great way to utilize your knowledge, but also flip it on its head in some ways as well. So it's going to be really interesting how it goes. So definitely not going to have a problem. I don't think the map's going to be that similar, to be honest, but it will have like the landmarks, the desert, and all that will be in similar places, and maybe some other landmarks will just be wiped out. We can see that like the forest area where you get the Master Sword. I think I've noticed in the trailer, but that's just like, that's gone. So that's interesting to note. So cannot wait to explore this game, man. Going to be fantastic. And of course, I'd like to hear what you guys think about this trailer. I know that there's a lot of excitement, but if anybody has any like trepidation, but I'm not too sure about jumping into those big balls of water. Not too sure about that. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that, because they might set us in our place and ruin our excitement and just. I'm joking, but I would love to hear what you think about the trailer. Join our Discord community. There's a link in the show notes. Go and check that out. So before we keep going on with the show, I'd like to do some housekeeping. And the housekeeping is you can go and leave us a review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. 5 stars will obviously be preferred. Come on now. Just like Toad 78 did. And he said, title, great. 5 stars. Fantastic, Toad. Thank you very much for the review. Really appreciate it. Very to the point. And I appreciate it. They actually said cool as well. I actually missed that because of the formatting of how it's laid out here. But I appreciate that very much. So helps with the algorithm, helps me know that at least there's someone out there who says, oh yeah, no, it's cool. That's cool to me, man. So thank you very much for that. And you can go to my YouTube channel, youtube.com/RodRuby, where you can hear me talk about more Nintendo stuff. That's always cool. And if you'd like to help out and support the dream, you can go to patreon.com/RodRuby, where from $1 a month, you can get access to exclusive shows such as Heaps Good, which I do with my good friend Josh of Nintendvania, and my secret recordings, which, usually I do in my car when I've got a bit of spare time. Put the bloody phone on, chuck the microphone on my chest. Let's go. Let's talk about some stuff. I've been really enjoying sort of, talking with the small group of people over there, which I probably wouldn't just, chuck onto YouTube, because goodness gracious, who knows who's out there who could listen to me ramble on about stuff. I don't know. It's scary stuff, man. Scary world out there. Keep safe. All right, let's jump into the Mario movie. So I went and watched this the very first day that it was came out, and oh man, I really enjoyed this one as well. It's a great time to be a Nintendo fan, just like I mentioned at the start of the show. So I went to the first screening at my local cinema, got there about 15 minutes early. I'm like, oh, there's nobody here. I might have a cinema to myself, and very excited about that idea. It was nice. I remember seeing Into the Spider-Verse all by myself, and that was probably towards the end of the run of the cinema when that movie was in the cinema, so that made sense. But I was like, everyone's at work. Maybe it's a Wednesday. It's 10:40 in the morning, so we could see why it might be a bit quiet. But then a couple of people came in. There was a man, a woman, their kid. So, oh, that's quite nice. They're doing the family thing, coming to see the Mario movie. And then I hear a bunch of commotion outside, and what do I see? A whole school's coming in to come and watch the Mario movie. And at first, I was thinking to myself, oh, goodness gracious, they're going to be throwing popcorn and yelling and crying and snorting and coughing and God knows what in the movie theater. But then it took me about a minute to be like, no, this is really cool. I'm going to be able to experience this movie just throughout this, like, so many generations of people And I was right. The movie was absolutely a joy to watch. It tickled my nostalgia bones. Loved the music, what I was seeing on screen. I kind of described the movie as just like a roller coaster of emotions as I was going through it. The story was a Mario story. We know how it starts and we know how it finishes, but the journey to get there was really, really great. I really enjoyed how they characterized Mario, Luigi, Bowser, Peach especially. Peach was absolutely amazing, played by Anna Taylor-Joy. And I thought, she was a standout for the movie, just how strong and powerful they made her and how much of a strong female lead I believe that character is. And it was great to see not just your classic Princess Peach sitting in a castle waiting to be saved. She was the most proactive character at the whole cast. She knew what she was doing. She was the most combat ready. She was absolutely fantastic. So I absolutely loved seeing that. And how like the movie just sort of swells with the music coming in and showing what's on screen and also playing music from like the multiple Mario games that we've played in the past. And it just tickles a nostalgia bone from every single one. And just an absolutely gorgeous movie as well. I really loved it. And it was funny because I came out of the cinema and I sort of saw how the critics were taking the movie, how it was basically sitting. It was like under 50% on Rotten Tomatoes. And basically the fan reception was like at 98. Like it was just crazy high. And I came out of it being like a little bit surprised. But, oh, really? Like that low? The critics really don't like it that much. But then I'm like, well, if you're just like somebody from, I don't know, the Washington Post or some newspaper or whatever, and you're sent to go and watch this movie and you've got no attachment to Nintendo, Mario, or even video games at all, like you'd never get your thumbs on the sticks whatsoever, I can see this movie being, maybe pretty boring, especially for an adult, or even maybe a kid with no love for it whatsoever. I think it's got plenty of physical humor that you might expect from other Illumination movies. But I can, kind of see their point of view. It's fair enough. But this movie was made for, kids, mainly young kids, and hardcore Nintendo fans who have been playing these games for years and years. And it's special because those two things come together where, my son is a bit young, but if he was a little bit older, we could really share that. This could be something that I'm like, I love Mario, son. I've been playing this since I've been a little boy. And this is something you can enjoy as well. Even if you're still too young to really use a controller, you can watch the movie, see the pretty colors, the fun music, and go along with the story there. I thought it was absolutely what it needed to be. For a sequel, do I hope for a better story and not to lean so much on just being, hey, look, it's Mario on the big screen and here's some amazing just production values and you'll love it. But I would like to see the next movie sort of be a little bit better just for everybody. Maybe a little bit more sort of adult jokes that sort of go over kids' heads type of things. It wasn't witty like a lot of other kids' movies are. Even like, stuff like The Simpsons or whatever. Like I rewatch it now as a late 20-year-old. I'm like, oh my God, I never got that as a kid. And I think that's sort of, when it comes to kids' movies where the writing is like super clever, I think that's really important for making a movie that sort of transcends generations. And where's the Mario movie got away with it because it is just so special to a lot of people. I think I would like to see it take that next step for the next movie and really transcend generations with a bit more clever writing and use a little bit more story, a little bit more A to B, rather than just, Bowser wants Peach and Luigi's missing. And, we sort of see like the basic Mario storyline. But absolutely loved it. The kids in the theater loved it. Bunch like the parents and their child absolutely loved it. And cannot wait for it to come out on... I'll probably get it on Apple TV, I think. It's just easier to stream it that way, but might get the Blu-ray. I definitely want to watch it again and again and again and just have it for whenever Lucas is watching TV and, share it with him that way. I think that would be really special because, how many years do I have to wait to be like, hey man, play some games. Here's a controller. How many years is that? Like 4 years old? 4? Even that's a bit young. 5? Some bit more basic things. So the movies, that's where it's just so accessible for everybody. And we're seeing just like the sales and everything going on, the success of this movie, which we'll be talking about later, but absolutely fantastic. Loved it very, very much. I don't know what I would give it like out of 5 stars. I think I mentioned on another podcast, I guessed it on like 4 out of 5 stars. And typically when I'm doing like, I guess, ratings. I basically, when I'm playing all the games that I'm playing this year, when I finish them, I just go in the GG app and I do a quick review, just summarizing my thoughts, share it on Twitter. But it's also got like a 5-star rating as well. And I haven't rated anything over 4 stars this year as far as stuff that I've been playing. And that's typically, I want to reserve that for like, this is truly, truly amazing. Like, everybody has to really play this or watch this, for example, of the Mario movie. So I'm reserving that sort of accolades as far as, my own thoughts, but definitely worth a lot of people watching. But for example, if I showed like my wife, for example, who is not a child and is not a video game fan, she'll be like, no, she wouldn't get any enjoyment out of it. So that's what it is. But it's made for us. That's for sure. It's made for us and our offspring when we breed our little. So absolutely fantastic. Loved it very much. All right, let's move into my week of gaming, and I've finished 4 games since I've last recorded an episode of The House of Mario. So the 12th game that I finished in 2023 was Bayonetta Origins, Cereza, and the Lost Demon. And this was a sleeper hit, personally for me. Really liked the look of the game going into it. I talked about it maybe 3 weeks ago at this point. But finishing the game, it just sort of solid. It really made my thoughts on this game solid, that this is absolutely fantastic. I absolutely loved it. I loved exploring the exploration, the art style, the music. Loved the story that was told between Cereza and Shesha, the demon that she summons, and she's got to find a way to send it back home to the underworld. And it was just a really sweet story, and sort of how it wrapped up, how the story wrapped up was really cool. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was great, and more. It does the sort of maybe a bit of a no-no where, like, the final act of the game, you're getting taught new mechanics. But these new mechanics, they were things that you probably expect if you're a seasoned player of Bayonetta, where it's a very big mechanic. So it's really cool how they sort of change it up and give you some more mechanics to play with. But absolutely fantastic. And it's probably, at the moment, my favorite Nintendo published game of this year. And it was I was not expecting that. I was going into the year really looking forward to Fire Emblem. And obviously Zelda's got to knock that off its perch in a couple of weeks. But it was it's really worth playing, man. It's a little bit hard to recommend because there's so many games to play in 2023. It's a full price game. It's $80 here in Australia. So fair enough if you give it a miss, but there's a demo that actually carries on your save file. So go and give it a go. There's nothing to lose there. But I personally really liked it. And the only sort of knock I got against it is there's a section where I was going looking for a collectible, and it basically sent me down a slide and sent me to like the other side of the map. And I was like, oh my God. So I was trying to get back to where I needed to go, and I just could not sort of find my way, because the whole idea is that you're lost in the woods, and the game really makes you feel like you're lost in the woods, especially when you've got to maybe go across the whole thing to get back to where you were. And I had to Google online. I'm like, is there a fast travel in this game? It's like, yes, there is. If you talk to a certain character at your base camp, I'm like, oh, fantastic. I didn't know that. I must have missed that tutorial or something along the way. So I was easily able to get back to where I was, but it sort of, it put in my head, like, the idea of collecting everything, going back once the game's finished, because it does give you an option for a harder mode. It does give you sort of New Game Plus options and stuff like that. But the idea of going collecting everything sounds like a nightmare. So just collect stuff as you go along, finish the game, get the credits, and thumbs up, turn it off. If you're 100%, if you're a completionist, it might be a little bit harder to jump into. But number 13 that I finished this year was The Legend of Zelda: The Minish Cap. And I play this on the NSO, the Game Boy Advance app on Nintendo Switch. And the Minish Cap is always a game that I've started, 10 times. Got it on, say, I didn't have it on Game Boy Advance. It came out in 2005 here. The DS was already a thing. It was already kicking. Probably saving up for Pokemon Emerald at the time, so any other game was just not on the agenda. Also, I wasn't a Zelda fan at this point. Yeah, like I said, it wasn't until Twilight Princess a couple of years later that I fell in love with the series. So I missed it there, but then I started on emulator, a fair few times. It came to the 3DS Ambassador system. So if you bought a Nintendo 3DS before the $100 price cut, Nintendo gave out a little certificate. You got 10 NES games and you got 10 Game Boy Advance games. And one of them was Minish Cap, and I started on there and I dropped it. And that happened multiple times, and I got maybe to the first dungeon. I can't quite remember. But now just with this app, I've been wanting the Game Boy Advance games on Switch forever. So I really want to make use of it. I don't want to be like, oh, well, cool, they're there, and just never touch them. And just finishing this game just felt so rewarding because it's just been on my backlog literally for, I don't know, since I've been a gamer, I guess, when it comes to like series that I really like. I haven't played every Zelda game. I've still probably got like a good handful of Zelda games that I haven't touched. So just having one knocked off was absolutely great. And one of my favorite genres in gaming is actually top-down adventure games, i.e. The Legend of Zelda. So when it comes to like, like Minish Cap and Link to the Past and Link Between Worlds and all that, these are like some of my favorite games. And even to the point where like Blossom Tales 1 and 2 indie games on Switch, like some of my favorite games on the Switch even. Like I really love them, and I love how it's not too long. It's about 15 hours in and out, plenty of stuff to do. And this is one of those games, and it's probably one of the inspirations for maybe some of the games that I've really enjoyed on Switch. So I had an absolutely fantastic time with the game. It's a lot of fun, and the dungeons and the items and everything was really cool. And my first experience sort of playing a Capcom-made The Legend of Zelda game, which was really great. And I really enjoyed some of the dungeons. The last couple of dungeons were big highlights for me. Really enjoyed them. And some of the items like the Gus Jar, and I forgot the name of this. It's been a couple of weeks now, but like the name of the stick flips stuff over and lets you interact with stuff in the overworld and unravel secrets. And the Land of Hyrule is really small in this game. It's really tiny, but sort of all the secrets and everything's so dense within the game that you've got stuff just unlocking constantly. And the game does this through a sort of a side quest sort of method where there's these NPCs they're asking for to match up with their kinstones, where kinstones, you find halves of them. You can buy them, you can find them in the grass, you can find a lot of them in treasure chests. They come in different colors, green being pretty common to red being rare, and you're able to match up, and it unlocks things in the overworld when you match these kinstones with different NPCs. Also progresses side quests and things, different stories, which is pretty cool, which I found pretty fascinating. And just how you're able to unlock all of these things in the overworld. So really great that I was able to get this one finished. I'm a big fan of it. It is funny because I was like, oh, I'd love to see Capcom do another one. And probably not going to happen. It's been over 20 years. So, well, has it been 20 years? No, it's not 2025 yet, mate. Not yet. I know time's going quick, but it's not going that quick. So yeah, really loved Minish Cap. And number 14, finished my first Metroid game, Metroid Fusion, also on the NSO Game Boy Advance app. And it's my first Metroid game I finished, and that's for a reason, is because I'm just really not good at them. I really find it tough just, getting through these games, and I always fall off, and I'll explain why. I'm going to go to Reggie's Rec Room. I'm going to have a big discussion about Metroid as a newbie to actually digging into Metroid games seriously for the first time. I've dabbled in a lot, and I've probably played through more than half of Metroid Dread on Switch. But as far as actually finishing them, it's a different story. But I finished the game. I'm like, it was good. I enjoyed it. But I didn't absolutely love it. I didn't fall in love with it through Metroid Fusion. And I heard it was a good place to start, mainly because it's more of a linear Metroid game. Your basically computer, assistant Adam is basically saying, look, you need to go here, do this. You find your way to that part on the map, you do that, you come back, you talk to Adam, he sends you somewhere else. And it's basically built for handheld play a lot more than maybe Super Metroid on the Super Nintendo was, because it is basically do here, do this, come back, save. And then you can turn off your Game Boy and go on with the rest of your day. And it was sort of built that way. And the developers at Nintendo's, knew this, and they wanted to bring more people into the Metroid series through making it a little bit more accessible. And Metroid at this point hadn't been around for 8 years. This game came out in 2002, what was the last Metroid game that came out? Like literally Super Metroid. Like it missed no, Metroid 2 on Game Boy. So it's been like it had been a long time since a previous Metroid game. And also on this day, Metroid Prime came out as well. So I could only imagine what that day was like, just have that much of a drought and just to be exposed to a brand new generation of fans. And it would have been incredible. It kind of reminds me in more modern days, not the same franchise, but Mario 3D World on Wii U and A Link Between Worlds on 3DS. That was a day. So I can imagine what it was like in the same franchise. Like, Christ almighty, what game do I play? Do I jump into the Fusion? Do I jump in the Prime? But I didn't love the game. I enjoyed the game. I thought it was quite smart how everything was laid out. It was spooky. It was pretty cool how the SAX is like a parasite that infects Samus, and Samus is just down and out for the count. She gets the basically the Metroid DNA injected into her. That's what saves her. It changes her DNA. And she's also got the X parasite still inside of her, and she's able to absorb the X parasite, and she's basically immune to it. And in fact, there's basically a carbon copy of Samus running around and hunting her down, and that copy is the most powerful of is like the peak of Samus's power, and she's not able to take it down. So you're not able to even hurt the SAX at all, and you're basically running away from it the whole game. You're avoiding it. It's hunting you down, and it's really fascinating. And once I finished the game, I was like, oh God, thank God that's done. Like it took me about 4 or 5 hours to finish. Did 76% of the collectibles. I did use a walkthrough. Like I said, I'm not smart enough to, or good enough, or whatever, clever enough, whatever you want to say, to not use a walkthrough. I needed a walkthrough for this game. But I left it a day and I thought about it, and I had the itch. I'm like, oh, I'm actually really interested to go and check out Zero Mission. I hope it comes to the Game Boy Advance app soon. Really got the itch to go and check out Super Metroid and also get back and play Dread. So it laid a seed. It really did lay a seed. But we'll talk about that in Reggie's Rec Room a little bit later as far as the Metroid series as a whole. And the 15th game that I played, a quick game, little experience on PlayStation VR 2, a game called Before Your Eyes. And this is a narrative-based game. You don't even use a controller. Basically, the control method is your eyes blinking. And this really is really smart in how it plays into the gameplay. The story is basically telling a person's story throughout their life and taking snippets and moments throughout their life, and you're basically just doing some small interaction with puzzles and stuff. You know, it's basically just using the eye tracking from PlayStation VR 2 and able to do quick puzzles and things like that. But if you blink, the scene, it snaps and it goes straight to the next one. And it plays in the gameplay so well because you are sitting there basically trying to listen to what the people around you are saying, what's happening in the story, progressing it that way. And you're just trying not to blink because you don't want to go. You don't want to go to the next moment. And you blink, damn it. You can't not blink sometimes. And I think I worked out a way to cheese it. I sort of tensed my eyes and half shut them, and I was able to hold it a bit longer. I don't know if that's because I wasn't blinking or because it was harder to track my eyelids shutting. Not quite sure. But by the end of this game, I was in tears. I was just so upset. And I think it's because of, my situation now, as far as being a dad. Because where this story goes was just absolutely heartbreaking. It really was. And I really want to talk about it. I want to explain why. I don't know whether to give a spoiler warning or not. I'm not quite sure. Let's give a spoiler warning. 2 minutes. Give me 2 minutes. If you don't want to know what happens in Before Your Eyes, and if you want to play this game, I recommend doing a skip. And if your thumb is away from the skip button at the moment, I apologize. But I really want to talk about this game. So spoiler warning, you've been warned. Before Your Eyes. Let's jump into it. So what makes this game really special is just that the story is being told from a person that has died, that has passed away. And you're basically being taken to be put in front of a judge to in some ways it insinuates, to go to heaven pretty much, or just float endlessly in the sea. It's a little bit of a weird premise, but that's not the important part. The important part is that you're going throughout this person's life from a little baby, And the scenes when they were a little baby, I'm like, oh my God, this touches my heart so much because, you know, my son, he's pretty much that size. So I'm like, oh, this is what it's like when he's watching us walk around and that. And it was just really cool seeing that perspective in VR. And the story's progressing as it's going from, you know, a baby to a kid to an adult. And there's a mother that's really pushing this kid to be a good pianist because he's showing just extreme skill in it. But they end up becoming an artist and really going well in it, putting art in museums and, you know, becoming really successful. And eventually, like, you know, the mum gets sick and passes away. And like, wow, that's really sad. And I heard that it was a sad game. So when it came to that, I was expecting that to be the sad part. But then you get sort of snapped back to, you know, where you're going on trial for, to basically get into heaven. And the character that's assisting you says, you know, you've been lying. Let's go back and retrace your steps and figure out what happened. And it turns out that all of that was made up to a certain point. So this kid goes from a baby, shows that he's really good at being a pianist, but then he gets sick. And he stays at home, gets good at drawing, but eventually passes away from cancer, which was just absolutely heartbreaking when it shows you just like the potential, the dreams, the aspirations to the reality of what actually happened. It was just heartbreaking. I literally just cried my guts out in a VR helmet, and I took off my VR goggles, and we've got a mirror in our bedroom. I was playing in the bedroom, and my face I was sweaty, I was crying, I was a mess. And I haven't had that experience from a game, and I don't know, I can't even remember how crying like that. That was absolutely heartbreaking. And just sitting in VR was just really, really nailed it home. So absolutely amazing. End of spoilers. So definitely go and check out Before Your Eyes if you haven't. I hope I haven't spoiled it too much for you, but even hearing what I said then, and you sort of know where the story is going, I think it's just a really powerful experience to have in VR especially. But it is on iOS and Android as well, because it uses the camera on your phone, so it's able to detect it that way. But I can't see it being anywhere near as impactful than it was in VR. But fantastic game. Just absolutely phenomenal. So really, really enjoyed my gaming the last couple of weeks. Really played some great games. And the ticker is counting down until Tears of the Kingdom. So I've got a few games that I want to get through. I want to get through Metroid Prime Remastered. I started that. I want to get through the first Pikmin game. I want to play through the first 3 Pikmin games before Pikmin 4 at the end of July. A start of Age of Calamity, Horror Warriors. And I just want some Zelda goodness inside of me. And also want just an easy, no offense to Horror Warriors, but sort of a brain-numbing game that I can play if I'm, had a big day or something like that. I don't have to think about it too much. And obviously Atelier Ryza 3 as well. I've got to get back to that. But we've got some projects to do until Tears of the Kingdom. Because God forbid, once that comes out, nothing else is happening. Video game-wise, anyway. I still got to go to work. I still got to cook tea. I still got to, do whatever I got to do. But anyway, that's my gaming this week. Let's move on to the Guru Geek Out. This is where I pay tribute to my late friend, Bobby Pauls, the Nintendo guru. And the first one's just a little basic one. Is that I got basically a good little setup for recording podcasts and that out of the house. I have these like little clip-on microphones, but when they're clipped onto your chest, they sound fine, but they don't get the audio that I'd really, really like from for doing podcasts and things like that. So I got like a little stick to put them on. What's it called? A Rode Interview Go, and I don't have the Rode microphones, but they slot in perfectly. I got the DJI clip-on microphones, and they clip in. And I look like a little reporter getting around, and they'll be great to use at PAX and other events for doing videos and podcasts. But if there's a week, for example, where it's a little bit harder to do the show at home, I'll be able to literally park in the middle of the paddock on the farm and do a podcast from there. A little bit more editing as far as being away from a roadcaster and things like that. But I think it'd be pretty cool. I'm actually really looking forward to just sitting in the paddock on a nice day, just talking to myself. I have to go really remote so nobody sees me. It might be a little bit awkward if someone, my dad comes past. What are you doing, man, mate? Like, I'm recording a podcast, Dad, to all of my admirers. Hello, everybody. Anyway, on TikTok, we are doing Dance Dance. I don't know what. No, I got no idea. Anyway, so yeah, pretty excited about that. Another geek out was Josh visiting me. Came down from Adelaide and had an absolutely fantastic weekend with Josh, recording some podcast content and just hanging out and all that. And he met my wife, my family, and it was really nice. And I've got to say, Josh, if you're listening, Chantel was very impressed, that you brought coffee over in the morning. You have to play your cards right, my friend, and you did a great job. So absolutely love the people that I've met through doing the podcasting and video games and all that. I think it's just a really great community we've sort of got here as far as like gaming and podcasting and stuff. So it was really nice that Josh was able to meet my family, and especially nice because just the fact that he really went to that effort to come down and see me. Like, I don't think of any of my other friends have made the effort. So, big thank you, Josh. I really do appreciate it, mate. And a shout out that I've got this week is Blessing Adeoye Jr. from Kind of Funny. And Blessing, he joined Kind of Funny, I think a couple of years ago at this point. And for those that don't know, I absolutely love Kind of Funny. They're what do you want to call them? A video game YouTube group that do podcasts and things like that. I've been following them for forever, and I really, enjoy their stuff, their discussions and all that. And, they made like different hires across the years. And one of the last ones was Blessing, and he's from the underground video game podcasting community as well. And I saw him like with OK Beast, and he did great work with his own outlet, and eventually it led him to get a job at Kind of Funny. But I always, people like this who are at bigger places, I think they do great work, but typically I'm never in the comments. I'm never saying anything. I'm like, hey, Blessing, great review, whatever. But Blessing he was talking on a Patreon exclusive podcast to do it Kind of Funny, talking about basically that, all the shit that he cops, and, it's kind of expected when it comes to, I guess, being online. And that's something that might be a problem. I'd love the face one day if I could cop some shit because I'm popular enough, but hasn't happened yet. That's not an excuse to go and give me shit either, by the way. But yeah, and it sort of got me thinking, like, I absolutely love what Blessing does. He's one of my favorite personalities at Kind of Funny, even though he's only been there a couple of years. He talks about the games that I care about the most compared to a lot of the other personalities at Kind of Funny. Maybe except for Tim. He's a big Nintendo fan, and he plays a lot of games that I like. But, I'm a big Greg Miller fan, for example. But, our sort of taste for video games don't really line up. And that's fine. That's cool. That's why I like listening to him, hearing about other things. But just a big shout out to Blessing. I think he's done absolutely fantastic work, taking the big step up to a place like Kind of Funny from his own independent video game outlet. And he's doing absolutely fantastic work. So, I don't know. Normally, I would go say, hey, go and say good work. But I don't know. I think he probably hears that enough, but maybe he doesn't. But I just want to put my own 2 cents in there. I think he's absolutely fantastic, and he's an absolutely great sort of personality to have in the video game space. I really, really do appreciate what he does. So big shout out to Blessing Adeoye Jr. Alrighty, let's jump into the news. There's plenty to talk about this week. I've got 13 stories. Some will be quick. Some might take a little bit longer. But we'll work that out as we go. What do you say about that?
Woohoo! Yeah! Is that all?
I fight for my friends.
Yahoo!
My body is still there.
The first story is the Super Mario Bros. Movie surpasses 50. Jesus, it didn't surpass 50. It surpassed $500 million worldwide, and also is the biggest video game movie. So this is from Variety, and the article reads, the Super Mario Bros. Movie continues to be a box office high scorer. The video game adaptation has crossed 500 million mark at the global box office, shattering records with the gusto that its title character usually amasses via power-ups. Yeah, okay, Variety, calm down. To date, the animated adventure has earned over 260.3 million domestically in the US, and 248.4 million internationally. That lifts its worldwide haul to 508.7 million. It's now the highest grossing film of 2023, both the global and domestic box office, surpassing Ant-Man and the Wasp. It's putting its own context in there. It also makes the Super Mario Bros. Movie the biggest video game adaptation in history, topping the grosses of Warcraft and Pokemon Detective Pikachu. So that just, when it comes to like biggest video game adaptation, it's like that is a small bar to sort of jump across, I guess. But if you think about it as far as like the Warcraft, I remember that being a big deal. I'm not even remotely interested in Warcraft, so I can't say that I knew how good or bad or successful that movie was. But Detective Pikachu, it's a Pokemon movie, and Pokemon's already established in theater, in anime, on your screen. So maybe in some ways it wasn't as exciting to get a Pokemon movie and didn't bring as many people into the theaters that way. But also it was a live action movie, so I guess that was pretty exciting when I want to watch Detective Pikachu. Don't undersell yourself, Drew. That was bloody exciting watching Detective Pikachu. But it's also like the most successful animated film, which is just ridiculous. That is the interesting part. When it's beaten Frozen 2, which is just was just a huge movie back when it came out. And just how popular Frozen 1 was going on to Frozen 2. And just like the Mario movies smashed past that already. That's ridiculous. It's absolutely ridiculous. But it's really cool to see that, something that is near and dear to our hearts, that, we love Super Mario and, Nintendo and things like that. And just seeing how successful it is and how many people are sort of jumping on the bandwagon, enjoying the movie. And I really do hope a lot of these people that have watched this are from people that have never, ever really played the games and are enjoying it for the first time just in the theaters and maybe sharing it with kids or anything like that. So just absolutely tremendous. I'm happy. I'm really quite happy with the success. It's good because I quite enjoyed it. Like I said, another article to go on to is Peaches, the song from the Super Mario movie, is eligible for the Best Original Song nomination at the Oscars. This article is from My Nintendo News. The article reads, the Super Mario Bros. Movie has been nothing short of a success for Illumination and Nintendo. In fact, all signs have been pointing to the movie being more successful than fans have ever expected. The movie could very well win awards in the future. One of them could be an Oscar. The reason for that is Universal has confirmed to Variety that a song by Bowser in the movie, Peaches, is eligible to be submitted for an Oscar. If so, it will be in the running for Best Original Song. The song was recently made into a music video and released on YouTube. Not only has it reached second in trending on music on the site, but the video has already surpassed 5 million views. I find this funny because the song's funny, like in the context of the movie, it is Jack Black being Jack Black. And I really kind of appreciate just how Jack Black was able to unleash his Jack Black in the Mario movie. And I never really thought about like seeing Jack Black from the School of Rock. I wonder if Bowser would do that. And he did. And it seems like Jack Black kind of, I dare say this isn't what happened, but it seems like he just walked into the studio and went, oh, Peaches, Peaches, Peaches. And he just did his thing. And it's funny for like the context of the kids movie, but like an Oscar for Best Original Song? Sure, why not? But surely not. Surely not. Maybe as far as it'll latch on the pop culture and, you can make other sort of arguments for why it should be the winner of that award, but I don't know. As far as like the context out of the movie, I'm not quite sure. But as far as people that are disappointed for not having their credits in the movie, this is another article from Nintendo Life, and the legendary DK rap composer is disappointed he's missing from the Super Mario credits. The article reads, the Super Mario movie is finally out, and we are preparing for the internet to soon become awash with hidden references and spoiler talk. One of the film's aspects immediately brought to attention, however, is that the credits in which it seems that Rareware composer Grant Kirkhope has not been included despite the iconic DK rap featuring in the film. If you do not go into the Mario movie completely blind without any knowledge of when the track appears, it suggests watching the film before you head into this article. Okay, so yeah, no spoilers. I sort of assume that majority of people that have wanted to watch the movie have, but of course, yeah. I don't want to spoil the movie, but at the same time, this stuff is just out there. It's so prominent. You would have had to be living under a rock. But anyway, Kirkhope took to Twitter shortly after the film's release to comment on the fact that he's missing from the film's credits. This is despite the DK rap playing a pretty prominent role during the Donkey Kong's introduction in the Kong Kingdom, during which the chorus line of DK Donkey Kong is repeatedly chanted while the music played underneath. The credits themselves list the track as from Donkey Kong 64, completely removing the composer from the situation and drawing the following disappointed response from Kirkhope, in which he didn't seem surprised by the omission. Quote, I was really looking forward to seeing my name in the credits for the DK rap, but alas, as expected, it's not there. FML, end quote. Kirkhope's disappointment as the latest line of creators being omitted from the credits despite their prior work on the projects. Back in February, a number of Metroid Prime creators revealed that they felt let down by the remasters credits, in which they were similarly grouped under a singular game's title. With the music composition now so easy to source, we struggle to understand why Kirkhope is missing from the credits. His work does play a small but prominent role in the film, after all. So we see a lot of these articles now that, people are missing from credits. We saw it with The Last of Us TV show as well, where one of the main creators of that franchise was not credited in the credits. And Metroid Prime, and now the Super Mario Bros. Movie. And I guess devil's advocate in some ways. If they are in the credits, are they entitled to royalties or anything, or money, which, there was no contracts or any of that boring blah blah legal stuff that taken place. Not quite sure. I'm not sure. I'm obviously not in the industry and I can't comment on that. But when it comes to just being like, this person created this thing and it lives on forever, and now it's a part of Donkey Kong lore and it plays in this huge film, it would have just been nice to pay homage to Grant. It would have been just a really nice thing to do, and especially since he's such just an iconic composer in the video game industry, still doing stuff with Mario Plus Rabbids and Ukulele and a bunch of just phenomenal video game music. So it's a shame that he wasn't shown in the credits, especially when other music that they used in the movie, they said who that was by. They put the credits fine for that, and they just comes to the DK rap and it just says from the game. It's like, what? Don't know. Disappointing to say the least. I don't know exactly why it did that, but it's a shame. I hope this is a problem that these companies sort of focus on a little bit more and sort of work out a way to actually, credit the creatives behind it, because, the creative people, the people that are driving all of this, we wouldn't have any of it without them. So do better, Nintendo. Come on, mate. Come on, Illumination. What are you doing? Next up, we got an article from Vooks.net. The next Splatoon Splatfest is The Legend of Zelda themed. Isn't that exciting? The article reads, now there's a Splatfest theme. The next theme is based on The Legend of Zelda, and you can pick from Team Power, Wisdom, or Courage. There will also be a special stage for this Splatfest. When it's time for the Tricolor Turf War, there's a new stage. There's a new stage. The Splatfest will run from May 6th to May 8th, just in time for Tears of the Kingdom, so just the week before. Isn't that exciting? There's also a special edition Splatoon Plus Cross The Legend of Zelda shirts coming. They are 3 new designs, one representing the teams you can pick from. They'll be available here in Australia and New Zealand from the My Nintendo store, and you can pre-order them from Tuesday, April 18th. And very, very excited for that. You can also get Splatoon 3 for 33% off on the Nintendo eShop. And I'm pretty excited for this. I haven't picked up Splatoon 3 in a long time. The last few Splatfests, I couldn't care less about representing team, was it Loch Ness Monster or Bigfoot or zombies? I don't care. I couldn't care less. I got no stake in the game whatsoever. But when it comes to the Triforce. It's a very, very important aspect of our day-to-day lives. We must fight for our piece of triangle that we want to represent. And when it comes to the Triforce that I want to represent, it comes down to courage. I don't have much wisdom, so no one's going to give me the Triforce of wisdom. Power, I'm not that strong, but courage. God, I've got some courage, everybody. I've got so much courage. You better look out. If you wrong me, I'll come and hit you with my sword, just like Link would. Don't you worry about that. So I'll be representing courage, and I'd like to hear what you guys are representing as far as the Splatfest as well, and whether any of you will pick up these shirts. These shirts look really cool. The Triforce, but I guess the Triforce that is not represented. They got like Splatoon patterns and sort of like splat inks all over the Triforce, and one sleeve says Splatoon, the other one's got the Hylian crest from The Legend of Zelda. Look really nice, so definitely keen to pick up one of these. They probably will be like $50. Like the merch on the My Nintendo store is so expensive, but it is what it is. We need to pay the cash as far as that goes. Next up, we got some more Mario news, and this one is Mario's theme is now being preserved alongside Led Zeppelin, Madonna, and more. And the article reads from kotaku.com.au. The National Recording Registry, part of the Library of Congress, is a collection of songs and scores that are culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant, and or inform and reflect life in the United States. This is the stuff selected by experts and historians that will be stored and preserved so that future generations can listen to the most important music of our time. And in April 2023, a collection has its first piece of video game music. As part of the 2023 class, alongside Madonna's Like a Virgin, Led Zeppelin's Stairway to Heaven, and what's her name? Maria Carley's. I can't say I've heard of that. I know the song though. All I Want for Christmas Is You and Flashdance song Koji Kondo's the Super Mario Bros. Theme is also known as ground theme. Was selected. The registry explained the selection as, quote, perhaps the most recognizable video game music in history is Koji Kondo's main motif for the 1985 Nintendo classic Super Mario Bros. Helped establish the game's legendary status and vast musical complexity and creativity. The game's main theme, or ground theme, has a Latin-influenced melody that provides the perfect accomplishment. God, I can't get to that. Whatever. I cannot get it out for some reason. So to Mario and Luigi's side-scrolling hijinks. Kondo's score laid the groundwork for an entire generation of chiptune musicians and has been performed by orchestras around the globe, benefiting its status as one of the most beloved musical compositions for the past 40 years. Oh God, I fell through that one. Words are getting hard to come out of my mouth apparently when it comes to reading that article. But it's pretty cool that, you know, video game music, it's being represented how it should be. And when it comes to like the Mario music, it's so iconic. It just transcends like video game nerds like myself or like you. Just everybody knows it. Even if like you're like video games are silly and they're for kids, you play the Mario theme, you know exactly where it's from. So just kudos, congratulations to Nintendo and Koji Kondo for having you know, their work just represented in a prestigious place like this. And I don't know how many Americans are like, oh, the Library of Congress, what a fantastic thing that is. I don't know. I'm Australian. I got no idea, but it sounds cool to me. A bunch of politicians like, yeah, I know what Mario is. Congratulations. I'll listen to it on my iPod. Got no idea. Next up, we got news of a live event from Nintendo in Seattle. So Nintendo Live 2023 is to take place in the US this year. This is from Vooks.net. Nintendo is taking its Nintendo Live in-person events outside of Japan for the first time. This time they're heading down, just down the road from Nintendo of America's headquarters and having it in Seattle, Washington in North America. Like the Japanese events, there will be hands-on gameplay, live stage performances, photo ops, and gaming tournaments. What games will be demoed? Who or what will be performing and exactly when it is to be announced. As far as the event is being penciled in for September 2023. Quote, at Nintendo Live 2023 in Seattle, attendees will experience a wide variety of Nintendo-inspired activities across large-scale themed areas. People of all ages and gaming experiences are encouraged to attend since the experience is designed for both families and fans in mind. Whether you are a lifelong Nintendo enthusiast who knows your likes from oh god, what's his name? I can't read it for Lakutus? I'm not sure. Obviously, I don't know that. Or someone new to the world of Nintendo, everybody is invited to have fun. During the event, visitors will be able to celebrate the world of Nintendo, taking part in Nintendo Switch gameplay, enjoying live entertainment, cheering on high-energy gaming tournaments, and taking unforgettable photos with recognizable characters like Mario and Luigi, along with many other activities. End quote. So this sounds really awesome. I'm very jealous of anybody who's able to attend this. I'm probably not going to make the trip all the way over to Seattle from the southeast of South Australia. But anybody, I got to say this to anybody who lives in America. If you want to go to this, go to this. This will be the first of its kind. It will get better. It will get grander as time goes on. But as far as being able to experience it at the ground floor, the first time Nintendo of America is doing it in the US, it'll be really special. And what's really special about just gaming conventions in general is just meeting up with thousands and thousands and thousands of like-minded people that are like, video games are cool. And if you're at work and you never talk about games because everyone's just like, oh, they're for kids or whatever, but then you can go to this massive sort of convention and meet people and play games and have a bunch of fun. And PAX, for that very reason, is amazing. But imagine that being condensed down to like your fan base, not like a bunch of other fan bases that are sort of connected in some weird ways. Like when we go to PAX, see someone's cosplaying as a World of Warcraft character, for example. I'm like, I got no idea who the hell you are. I couldn't care less about World of Warcraft personally. It's just other games and that. But like you find like your I guess your group of people, and this is exactly what this is going to be. And it's going to be really special to like meet up with people who just really love Nintendo. And you can see a lot of different aspects of Nintendo fandom, from tournaments with Super Smash Brothers and Mario Kart and these competitive games. Or you might just want to go there with your child and just, go, hey, look, it's Mario and you can get a photo of Mario. Isn't that fun? It's going to be so special getting all these different types of people from all walks of life together to really share the love for Nintendo. So I'd love to see this in Australia, a little bit closer to me. It will be Sydney still, so that'll be a bit of a trip. But honestly, guys, if you need to save up some cash or whatever, I'd say, give it a go. Go. Live like tomorrow it's not going to happen. You know what I mean? Go and check it out. It looks like a lot of fun. And if it's not that good, just don't go the next year. It's all good. But yeah, very jealous of everybody in the States. So my good friend Ash Wallace is actually, he sent me a message this morning saying, I'm actually going to be in Seattle this time of year, so I'm going to go. I'm like, God damn. Very jealous. Very jealous. Very jealous. But he'll be my man on the ground, so I'll be able to hear from him what the event was like. So I'm excited for that. All right. Take a bit of a water break here. Get the water boy here. Have a drink. Might even blow my nose. Tell you what. I got through this far without a cough. That was amazing. Let me mute for a little bit. Look at that little pit stop. That was quick, wasn't it? That was good. Let's move on to the next story. Nintendo hunts down Zelda Tears of the Kingdom Linker on Discord. Leak it on Discord. This is from Torrent Freak. The article reads, as Nintendo's official website for the Switch game, The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom states, the adventure begins on May 12th. Officially, at least. The hotly anticipated sequel to Legend of Zelda Breath of the Wild will go on sale next month in digital. What the hell is this? I don't know what that's about. I must have copied I don't know what that is, but let's start again. On February 20th, 2023, Eurogamer reported on a 200-page art book that had been leaked online containing details of new characters, enemies, enemy types, and locations. Quote, it is currently unclear how this art book managed to leak. So far in advance, Zelda Tears of the Kingdom, before the official launch of the Tears of the Kingdom. The publication noted at the time. 2 months later, it's clear that A, Nintendo is very aware of the leak, and B, they have a very specific internet user in mind as the potential leaker. On February 21st, Nintendo of America sent a DMCA notice to Discord. The complaint targeted a Discord channel's name under Tears of the Kingdom official Discord server. The notice went to a target 6 specific URLs, featuring the images and links to images from a Nintendo's copyright-protected and unreleased special edition art book for The Legend of Zelda Tears of the Kingdom video game in violation of Nintendo's rights. Just 8 minutes after the takedown notice was sent to Discord, the platform acknowledged the complaint and told Nintendo that the content will be removed promptly. Around 10 hours after sending the internal takedown notice, Nintendo followed up with a request for immediate review and takedown of the Discord channel, noting that the members were still distributing pre-release artwork using direct message and links. Additionally, some members have been assigned the role of the PDF pirate, which indicates them as the source of the PDF files for infringing art book images. For the review, we have also provided screenshots for the server, the members, and a brief description highlighting their activities in the server. So this was annoying a couple of months ago. How the art book from the special edition was leaked online, and like, oh no, we really don't want to know much. I don't want to see like the final form of the last boss and all of this thing. I was talking to Bryce about it actually, and he said he looked at him and he said there's really nothing in there to really spoil. Like, was there like final bosses? Was there like all of this stuff you really don't want to see until you're playing the game? And he said no, not really. And I don't know what his level of spoiler what would be a spoiler to him, but he really didn't seem to think there was much in there to really worry about too much. So okay, that's interesting. I personally haven't come across anything from the art book, so that's interesting. But just the idea of like, imagine if you found a copy and you're sharing it with people in Discord, and not long after, Nintendo's like, all right, we're going to fuck you up. And they're actually asking for like the information of like who this person specifically is from Discord. And that's crazy. So, good luck to them. Hope they survive. I hope they go well. But yeah, Nintendo's after them. So, and we all know how cheeky Nintendo can be. They like even with the House of Mario, we just go on like these t-shirt printing websites. We cannot get away with printing our logo on a t-shirt because we have like the Power Star and a couple of other things in there. It says like a Nintendo podcast at the bottom. We cannot get away with the copyright for selling our logo. And in some ways, I don't know, fair enough, I guess. But when it comes to like really pissing them off, when it's just like they're not sharing anything, but then it leaks for a Legend of Zelda game. Oh, Jesus Christ. Hope it was worth it. Let's move on to some Pokemon news. And the first story isn't too positive. And this was from a couple of weeks ago, but I still wanted to touch on the show. The Pokemon Go community is in the open revolt over changes to remote raiding. Okay, and this is from Games Radar. The article reads, last week, Pokemon Go developer Niantic shared a post about announced a number of changes coming to the remote raid pass feature in the mobile game. Remote raid passes were introduced back in 2020 during the COVID-19 pandemic and allowed players to participate in local raids from the safety of their homes. Now, in April 2023, Niantic wants to begin making these remote raid passes less desirable by increasing how much they cost to purchase with in-game currency. Limiting the amount of remote raid passes trainers can take part in to go no more than 5 per day. and other measures. Shortly after this was revealed, Pokemon Go players called for others to stop supporting Niantic due to the new changes and how they would affect players that rely on the remote raid passes. A number of people within the Pokemon Go community shared an open letter to Niantic, as well as started a change.org petition to slightly alter the changes, which will come into place on April 6th, 2023. The letter and the petition, which have been shared by several prominent figures within the community, such as Joe Merrick from Cerebi and Pokemon Jungle, and read, quote, "We want Pokemon Go to succeed, and we want to be able to play this game that we love for many years to come." The letter continues, "Unfortunately, we as a whole feel unheard. Time and time again, our questions go unanswered. Our concerns are not addressed, and most importantly, our needs are not taken into proper consideration," end quote. The authors of this letter have suggested that Niantic's decision to cause harm to rural players, trainers with disabilities, and trainers who have severe social anxiety, and trainers who work night shifts, trainers who are single parents, and several other people. The rest of the letter proposes alternative changes Niantic can make, which instead of making remote passes more difficult to use, could reward players significantly for doing in-person raids, with rewards such as guaranteed XL rare candy, increased lucky friend odds, and offering premium items such as incubators and star pieces. I'm sure that makes a lot of sense for people that do not play the game. The letter concludes, "We are sad, distraught, and discouraged because of our interactions with our global friends will no longer be free to accommodate for every type of global Pokemon Go trainer." At the end of writing this, the Save Remote Raiding in Pokemon Go petition has got over 94,305 signatures at the time of its 75,000 goal. And it frustrates me. There's a lot of things that are going on as far as what I'm feeling about this. And I love Pokemon Go. It could be one of my favorite Pokemon games, not because of its gameplay or anything like that, but because you're able to interact with the Pokemon world, you're able to collect and explore and that through your phone. And it's just so easy to open up and interact with the game that way. And during the pandemic in 2020, I really fell in love with Pokemon Go. And that was purely because there wasn't a lot to do. There was a bunch of people, making communities on like Facebook Messenger and things like that. And I was able to meet a lot of people through that just in my local town who were playing Pokemon Go. And they introduced remote raid passes, so you didn't have to go next to people and, get COVID. And I thought that was really great. And it really sort of saved the game in my eyes, how I was able to interact with the software when it comes to living in a small rural town. Our town has like 4,000 people. Not many Pokestops, stuff spread out. And maybe if you're like living in Sydney or a big city, you go to a park and there's literally hundreds of them. There wouldn't even be 100 in our town. Like, it's so spread out. And doing raids is an absolute nightmare. And now with like daylight savings, where it gets like dark like 6 o'clock, and that's when it's time to do like raid hour, for example. It goes from 6 to 7, I believe. It's been a little while, and that's when you can get legendary Pokemon or some cool stuff, and you sort of you gang up and you take down these Pokemon. It's a lot of fun, but at 6 o'clock, am I able to go out the house, go in the dark, go in the cold, and just sit in the car or whatever and play my phone? That's not ideal. That's not going to happen. I'm not going to interact with your game that way. It's certainly not going to happen. Even if I wanted to do that, I've got a family that we're sitting down having tea and we're organising stuff. So remote raid passes were great. I was able to stay home, jump in and tap my phone while I'm cooking tea or eating tea or whatever have you, and it really saved the game as far as interacting with it. And it made me really love it. And I spent a lot of money just month to month. Might have been putting like $30 to $40 a month, just, buying events and items and more storage. And I didn't mind it because I was really getting value out of what they were doing. I really enjoyed it. But these changes, they've been sort of reverting back for, I don't know, the past year, just reverting back some of these changes that made the game great. And it's so frustrating, and it made the game less enjoyable for me, and I've just fallen off. I don't play Pokemon Go anymore. And sort of the cutting back of remote raid passes, because this won't be the last cut either. We will, get it to the point where you probably can't even get them. And so it's just kind of completely destroyed the game for me, and it sucks because it was so much fun, like participating in the events and all that, and I really did enjoy it. And the community days, I used to be like, all right, this community day is coming up in a couple of weeks. I want to try and make that afternoon free so I can go for a walk, listen to some podcasts. Just, I really enjoyed just like going on walks and having like a bit of peace and quiet. So that was just a great little activity to do on walks and things. It was really fun. But all of that sort of gone just with their changes, and it's frustrating because they don't care about their community. This is a community-driven game. This is about people going out and meeting people, and their community is obviously asking, like, this was a great thing. And even people, if they prefer doing that, there are people that don't have access because through a disability. There's people who, this article touches on it, where they might not be able to get there because of certain work conditions or family, or, there's so many things that like we can't participate in raids, but through this item we can do it. And I think their sort of suggestion of having better rewards for being there in person, that makes sense. That makes sense. If you make the effort to go and meet up in person, that's great. But just cutting it back like this it just kind of sucks. And the community's not happy about it, and it's purely because Pokemon Go is just a data collection just for tracking you and getting information about your area, and it goes back and they're able to sell it to whoever they want to sell it to. And we all know that. That's fine. I think most of us will be like, you can take my information, you give me a fun game along the way, but when you're getting like this greedy, it's like, come on guys, kind of look after the folks that brought you to where you are. It was a massive success in 2016, but the people that are there now are, not going to take stuff like this forever. At least I hope not anyway. So frustrating, and it makes me think about the Pokemon sort of the products that they're really pushing at the moment, just like on mobile. And like when it comes to like sharing the Pokemon series with my son, that's something I'm really looking forward to. And he might not be into it, but if he is, I've got a lot to sort of offer as far as like, we're going to have so much fun just playing Pokemon and that. And that's what Bryce is experiencing with his daughter at the moment. And it's really beautiful to watch. It looks like a lot of fun. And she's put like over 100 hours into Scarlet and Violet. It's really cool. But when it comes to like some of these mobile products, like, so all right, here's a phone, little Jimmy. Like, do you want to play Pokemon Go? It's like, well, it's just, that's probably like the better option, honestly. But there's some weird decisions just made by the higher ups there that make the game less fun. But when it comes to like Pokemon Masters, it's just begging for money. Like, it just wants to suck you dry through like random drops and things like that. And then like Pokemon Unite, which I was like, this is fun, man. Like, I'll get the season pass, I'll get the battle pass, and it wants you to put so much time into it, and it's just ridiculous. Like, it wants to take your whole life, like just to spend like the amount of money it's asking for, like a $40 for like a Venusaur in a swimsuit. It's like, what the fuck? Like, I know that's like skins in general, like in Fortnite and everything. That's just something I'm not that familiar with because I don't subscribe to that stuff, that type of video game. It seems like a waste of time and money, which honestly I feel like it is. But it's a little bit sad, just the state of the Pokemon products at the moment. We've got like the big RPG, which is, it came out in the state that it is. I think that's kind of a bit of an insult, just that we're going to buy stuff like that, and we do, but it's kind of heartbreaking in some ways. And just the whole spin-off situation on Switch, we've got like a remake of Pokemon Mystery Dungeon. We got a brand new Pokemon Snap, which was pretty cool. But we really haven't got much as far as spin-off content, and I'd like to see Pokemon just like make some good quality software for Switch that can be for kids and, Pokemon fans like myself, that we can all enjoy and have fun with, and just concentrate less on this cash grab on mobile. I think it's great. Have the cash grabs on mobile, like have them, but they're not balancing it out with other software that really sort of shows where their money is. Like the amount of money that the Pokemon Company have in like Game Freak and Nintendo as like an entity that make up the Pokemon Company, it's ridiculous. Just what's happening over there. I don't understand why their products are, dare I say, so poor. Don't understand why. And I love Pokemon. I love Pokemon so much. And I loved my time with Pokemon Violet and Scarlet. But just like the technical aspect of that game was just it's ridiculous how poor it was. It was just whatever. And every single time like something like this happens, I'm like just a bit frustrated. But anyway, let's move on to some more Pokemon news. And this one is just a bit of information about Creatures Inc., which is owns a third of the Pokemon Company. And Creatures Inc. Undertakes a significant change in leadership. And this is from Nintendo Life. The article reads, Creatures Inc. is a partial owner of the Pokemon franchise alongside Game Freak and Nintendo, and has undertaken a significant change in leadership spotted by Cerebi webmaster Joe Merrick. Ishihara, yes, Ishihara and Hip, must be his nickname, and Hip Tanaka have stepped down, I'm butchering that name, has stepped down as CEO and president of Creatures Inc. respectively, with Kuji Kantoro stepping in as CEO and President Komotaka Komorua as Executive Vice President. The newly appointed posts are also highlighted on the official Creatures Inc. website. While the change will likely have no material impact on the day-to-day operations of Creatures Inc. Or its contribution to the Pokemon franchise, the shake-up is certainly an interesting one. At the time of writing, Tetsuna Ishihara remains the president and CEO of the Pokemon Company. However, his departure from his post at Creatures Inc. does raise some questions as to his immediate future with the Pokemon Company. Some fans will likely recognize Ishihara as the host of the major Pokemon Present showcases. We currently have no reason to believe that anything further will change in the foreseeable future, and the recent shakeup will likely concede with the new 2024 physical year in Japan. So interesting. Just we've got a bit of a shake-up as far as Creatures Inc. And I think Creatures is usually like the overlooked sort of holder of the Pokemon franchise. A lot of that. There's been some spin-off games from Creatures, as well as like a lot of like the 3D models and the assets come from Creatures for the Pokemon games. So interesting that stepped down, but also still president of the Pokemon Company itself. So pretty cool. We'll see how that goes and see maybe in the upcoming months or year or so if Ishihara is still going strong on the Pokemon Company. But I don't know. If he goes, I hope someone shakes it up and, like I said, maybe put some money into their products a little bit more. Okay. Next one is something that I haven't heard many other podcasts touch on, but I have seen it online. And this is a little bit of a tougher one for me to cover. I don't usually like stepping into these conversations whatsoever, but we will touch on it because I think it's important as far as the community goes. We've seen a lot of discourse online, but without stalling any longer, let's get into it. So the article is Pokemon TCG community rally behind disqualified player after pronoun mishap. And this is from esports.gg. The article reads, a disqualification from the Charlotte Pokemon Regional has become a hot topic in the Pokemon TCG community. A player has been left shaken up after getting disqualified and kicked out of Charlotte Pokemon TCG Regional over an alleged miscommunication. Tran recently took to Twitter to share their experience at the Charlotte Regionals over the weekend, getting very emotional about what had taken place. According to his tweet longer, Tran felt wrongly disqualified from the tournament due to a judge allegedly mistaking his nervousness for offensive behavior. Tran was set to participate on stream against one of America's best players, Alex Chemansky. A pretty nerve-wracking situation for a long player. Like previous regionals, judges asked for players' pronouns so they could include them on screen and also have the commentators properly identify them. According to Tran, he nervously fumbled over his pronouns, starting to laugh after he forgot the word his. When asked to confirm his pronouns just before the stream began, Tran was it Tran? Repeated him, laughing again out of nervousness. Quote, "The little laugh at the end was because I was trying not to be awkward and because I was just stating the exact same thing Alex just had stated, and that it was kind of silly to me in that scenario," he wrote. The judge, however, appeared to think Tran was mocking the use of pronouns. They apparently told Tran that they go by they, and told him not to be a jerk about it. Pretty soon into the match, Tran and Szymanski were pulled off the stage and informed that another pair would be on the stream instead. Tran thought that it was a deck error, at first, but soon found out it was because of his previous behavior while stating his pronouns. Tran stated that he stayed calm and tried to explain what he actually meant, but the judge then informed him that he'd been disqualified. After his emotional twit longer, Tran admitted to bawling his eyes out over the uncomfortable and disheartening situation. Many Pokemon players come forward to his defense, including Szymanski himself, who had witnessed most of what had happened and went down. He stated that Tran shouldn't have been disqualified, but also stated that the judge may have viewed the interaction differently. Quote, "Remember, y'all, this isn't an excuse to attack inclusivity and people's identity," he added. Many people asked Szymanski if Tran's behavior could be truly come off as offensive. He responded that his tone and speech patterns could have been seen as offensive, but knowing Tran, Szymanski said that he knew that the younger player didn't mean any harm and had no malicious intent. Meanwhile, Tran admitted to the situation that the situation left him shaken up to the extent where he revisited suicidal feelings. At the time, he felt everything had been stolen from him and wrote that he didn't feel listened to at all. Tran wrote, quote, "The way I was treated made me feel so upset, and I was treated so unfairly that I was nearly running into the middle of the road, getting ran over. Jesus Christ. I wanted it all to be over. I was just done with everything. There was no point of anything for me. My dream of winning a regional with my own deck I'd put so much time and work into, was just taken from me. I missed school, I lost hundreds of dollars, I traveled across the country for what? Nothing. It was all for nothing. I've been completely lost. I'm being completely honest with everyone when I say that I've never been this upset in my entire life," end quote. It's still unclear what happened between Tran and the judge, and handling the situation is what has had many Pokemon players frustrated. This is not the first time that staff at a regional tournament had been called out for inconsistent in their treatment of players, from improperly dealing with players with disabilities to accusing of transphobic behavior. The Pokemon TCG players are calling for the Pokemon Company to acknowledge the ongoing problems with the judges and other staff at regionals. And that's the end of the article. And the Pokemon, Twitter account, or the players' Twitter account, did address this in some way. I don't have the quote pulled up right here. I probably should. But this was heartbreaking to see, and it's a difficult topic to tackle. It really is. I don't want to put this energy out there, but when it comes to inclusivity, I think it's important. I think it's super important for a company like Pokemon. Pokemon just has so many people from all different walks of life. And we really do see this when it comes to the video game championships and the TCG championships as well, where you see people from all over the world coming together to share and bask in the love of Pokemon, the competitive nature. I think it's beautiful to watch. A couple of years ago, we were watching like a little girl just like dominate the tournament, and she would have wiped the floor with me, and she would have been like, I don't know, 6 years old. It was just amazing to watch, and just the fact that people from all walks of life can come together to just celebrate the franchise, and people can watch it as like a competitive sport. And Pokemon's very special. I think it's great how it transcends generations, much like a lot of Mario and other Nintendo franchises. It's really special, And it fits in with, what Nintendo was all about. And of course, it's extremely important as well that transgender people are represented well, and that, I think it's a good thing that the judges, ask for pronouns, and that, when it's a live stream in front of thousands of people, that they can be identified as the people that they identify as, which is great. And it's important that, they get asked. In the case of Tran here, where it's like, when it's like a 17-year-old boy, when you're thinking about your game, what strategies you're going to use for your deck, you're going to be in front of thousands of people. And he mentioned in his tweet longer that it's not the first time that he's been live streaming, but it's still very daunting. I could imagine myself like competing in front of that many people, like being live streamed. It'll be a difficult thing. It really would. So I can relate to just the aspect of when he's getting nervous and he's not thinking about his pronouns necessarily. He's thinking about his game. He probably doesn't really care if he's what he's referred to particularly. He just wants to try and win and take down one of the best players in the Pokemon TCG and become champion, which is great. I think it's just like the fact that he took that much initiative to travel and get his deck together. I think it's great. I think it's what makes Pokemon really cool. But when it comes to just like the reaction from the judge, the Pokemon company, it's sad. It's really sad. And it's kind of just where our culture is, especially online at the moment, where we really, as understanding as we want to be, even if we've got like a couple of questions, a couple of concerns about the whole transgender, thing going on, even if you've got a couple of questions, you're just deemed as transphobic, one of the worst people in the world. And we saw that with Hogwarts Legacy, and a lot of people are just like, I come home from work, I want to enjoy myself, and I don't particularly believe that this game's going to really harm trans people. I like trans people, I know trans people. I just want to play my goddamn Harry Potter game. And if that's your opinion, that's I don't think that's particularly hurting anybody. But when it's to the point where it's like, did you laugh? Did you laugh at me asking your pronouns? Like, no, I'm a 17-year-old kid, man. I'm here to play Pokemon. I'm really not here to make fun of a marginalized group. I don't think that's what this minor was here at the Pokemon TCG regionals to do. Like, I think everybody can be like, oh, he didn't rock up to cause trouble. He didn't rock up to be an asshole. And he's probably just got respect for trans people. I'm sure he does. I think majority of people are just like, do your thing, man. Just live your best life. Personally, for me, when it comes to that thing, I just want people to be their best self. And if you're a Pokemon player or a Nintendo fan, man, you're a good friend of mine. Don't you worry about that. But when it comes to like really having to walk on eggshells and you see stuff like this, like just automatically halfway through a game, just like making the decision and doing it just in public in front of people like that. It wasn't before a game, so nobody knew about it. It wasn't nipped in the bud. It wasn't like a little thing afterwards. Like, hey mate, like just for next time, just know that that body language could be shown as offensive to people who identify as another sex, and that's all it needed to be. It could be a nice learning experience for like a young man to be just more respectful to other walks of life. But no, it was in the middle of the game, turn off the stream, mate, you're out. We don't give a shit. And it's just really, it's sad. Like I can't really say it any other way. And it doesn't really, just how sensitive a lot of this topic can be, how we can't talk about it, how we can't bring up even the smallest concern or question, how we can't show any other sort of body signs. I don't know. It's just how this kid's sort of body language is automatically taken as like the most offensive, just derogatory thing, even though the judge obviously had his own agenda, had their own agenda being, describing themselves as they for their pronouns. So it's a difficult thing in some ways, but I feel so sorry for this young man. And some I don't know. I can't do anything about it. I can't put my voice out there. If I just had like some constructive criticism or whatever, it's I'll be told to I'm an awful person or whatever. But I really just want everybody to just do their thing, be themselves. But there are some aspects of this thing that are sort of eating into other people's lives as well, and obviously the discourse around it and how it's just cancel culture has just sort of taken over, I guess, online discourse, and in this case, discourse in real life. And it's just automatically just like, you're done, you're out, you suck. And it's done to a young boy who I think if there's any sort of group the Pokemon company to really look after, who really need to cater to, it's minors, it's kids who are participating in person for a Pokemon card tournament. They shouldn't be embarrassed like this. And I hope this is a learning experience for the Pokemon company and for what they do at regionals. But heartbreaking. It really kind of is. So, Tran, I hope you're going well, mate. I hope you continue to participate and kick ass at the next one. But I think some people maybe jumped to some pretty horrific conclusions for maybe some body language you're showing through your nervousness. But I don't know. I think most people are good, and we don't want to. We don't want to make anyone feel bad. I think that's where it comes down to. But anyway, everybody, just be accepting of everybody, whoever they are, and yeah, I don't know. It's difficult, but I'm sure this conversation will come up again with how much it's been in the discourse this year. But let's move on. This is a bit of PlayStation news, but I want to bounce off of it and talk about a competitor to Nintendo. Who knows? Might happen. So this is Nintendo's next PlayStation handheld from Insider Gamer. The article reads, following the days of speculation, Inside Gaming can report that there's a new PlayStation handheld in development, codenamed the Q Lite. The next PlayStation handheld is the next piece of Sony hardware that aims to be yet another piece of hardware that requires the PlayStation 5. Insider Gaming understands the Q Lite is not a cloud streaming device, but instead uses remote play with the PlayStation 5, a feature that the console giant has been pushing these past couple of weeks. Sporting the adaptive streaming up to 1080 and 60 FPS, the new device will require constant connectivity to the internet. As the console's physical features, early prototypes show the console will look a lot like the PlayStation 5 controller, but with a massive 8-inch LCD touchscreen in the center. The device supports adaptive triggers for haptic feedback and will include what you would come to expect from a handheld: volume buttons, speakers, an audio jack, etc. Insider Gaming understands that the Q Lite is in its QA phase and is scheduled to release before the PlayStation 5 Pro and after the detachable disc drive PlayStation 5. As previously mentioned by industry insider Jeff Grubb, Sony is planning to announce its second phase of PlayStation 5, which was reference to its future game slate. Ironically, though, this second phase is very much true for Sony's hardware offerings, with a detachable disc drive PlayStation 5 named Project Nomad, and wireless earphones, which is Project Voyager, yes, and the Q Lite handheld, all scheduled to release within a short period. And we'll end it there. So I just found this really interesting because we've got pretty much no major competitors to the Nintendo Switch. It's the only handheld, mass market handheld you can go and buy to play your games on the go. Apart from that, it's just mobile gaming, streaming, and the Steam Deck, which is still a niche thing that you can only buy from Valve itself. So it's interesting that Sony, after the PlayStation Vita, just went, all right, we're done with this, and they're making a remote play device where you can basically pick it up and remote play from your PlayStation 5 within your house. And that would excite me a little bit, but at the same time, remote play never works. It never worked on my phone, iPad, computer, wherever I played it. I don't know if it's just my router or internet or whatever have you, but it just did not work. So if it's just remote play, it's probably a no-go for me. And obviously, just remote play device is not going to be a competitor to Nintendo Switch. But in some ways, if you just want to sort of play around the house or maybe play when you're on a plane trip or a business trip or like whatever have you, you're away from the house. It might be a good option for you, but I still can't. I'm still very much a person who likes playing games on the hard drive, ready to go, no latency, anything like that, because I just have not had a good experience with streaming or remote play or anything like that. But I find it disappointing in some ways because I'd love to see PlayStation come back to the handheld market. And they certainly cannot do another Vita. They can't support it with its own unique software. You can't have Naughty Dog, make a Last of Us game for it. You can't have Sucker Punch make Infamous or anything like that exclusively for a PlayStation handheld. Like PlayStation, they're just not set up to support two devices. They're set up to make huge, expensive, awesome games for a big, powerful console. That's how they're set up. That's how the studios are made, and they're looking to get into a lot more games of service and stuff. They bought Bungie, so they're looking to, use their expertise to really get into that market. So we're not going to see another handheld from Sony, but personally for me, especially after seeing the Steam Deck, how it's just like, every game on your PC, well, every game, but a lot of games on your PC that you buy on Steam, they will work on this thing. So a lot of like your big budget games, Valve aren't making exclusive games for its Steam Deck. Other developers aren't making games just for Steam Deck. It's utilizing the PC architecture and using Linux as the operating system, and games, for the most part, just run on it. Especially if they optimize that a little bit and a little bit of tinkering with emulators and stuff, you get like a bunch of stuff on it. So my dream for like a PlayStation device would be, it would be way too much to get PlayStation 5 games running on it, because the PlayStation 5 is massive and it's got I don't know, it just wouldn't work. But I could see like maybe using PlayStation 4 architecture on a handheld and being able to play PlayStation 4 games off of a digitally downloaded hard drive would be really cool. I'd love to see that. And even stuff like God of War Ragnarok and stuff that is coming out from Sony now, that's got like a PlayStation 4 version. So you could play those games on this magical handheld that I would love to have. But just like you're thinking about the price and how Sony would market it, being like, hey, look, you can download PlayStation 4 games on this thing. Isn't that exciting? And I think majority of people will be like, no, that's not that exciting. I've got my PlayStation 5, and you can do like a mixture of remote play for PlayStation 5 games from your PlayStation 5. But if you want to go on the go, you got the PlayStation 4 version. That's how I can see it working. But even that, it's not a cut and clear decision. And I guess we've got that similar situation with the Switch, where they have picked their handheld to go forward with as like their only device. We don't have a two system sort of thing that they used to have with the 3DS and Wii U. We're sort of getting the companies pick their lanes. PlayStation's like, they've had immense success with every single console they've released, and not so much with the handhelds. So they know what they're successful at. They know what they're good at. They stick to the PlayStation. And Nintendo, I think they got to the point where like, we know what we're good at, and we can sort of, in some ways, put our icing on the cake and eat it, and just have all the benefits in one. And it's pretty much a console with a controller as well. But as far as like how games are running and the type of experiences they're making, they are very much more catered to being on the go, which I enjoy. I really enjoy. Even like Tears of the Kingdom, it would be great to be able to play it on something like a PS5. But also having it in your pocket's pretty cool too. So I'm not going to be too against that. So I thought it'd just be interesting to bring up what some other companies are doing with handhelds, and it's all moving towards remote play and streaming. And we'll see if this technology actually takes off and becomes a bit better. So it might be actually something that Nintendo's got to worry about in some ways, because if you can just, like, for example, you subscribe to Game Pass, you just boot up a game, plays flawlessly, looks amazing, and it's a part of your subscription on a different ecosystem anyway. It's like, do you need a Switch? Don't know. I know I certainly do. Obviously, Nintendo games, I think a lot of people are still going to buy it for that reason. But as a device itself, being like, I need a portable system. Nintendo's got one. I'll get that. But eventually, as we move forward, I'll like to see what streaming will do. I don't think in Australia we'll ever get to that point. But who knows? If you live in California somewhere, you might have good internet. But who knows? We got a rumor. So this article is Nintendo is working on the Paper Mario 1000-Year Door remaster for Switch? ? From My Nintendo News, the article reads, a member of the Famiboard forums who claims to be an investigative journalist has reportedly learned that Nintendo has been busy working on a Paper Mario 1000-Year Door remaster for the Nintendo Switch platform. The user says that he has previously provided verified rumors to various YouTube channels while remaining in the background. as he doesn't like the attention. Oh, that makes one of you bloody leakers anyway. Doesn't like the attention. That's why everybody else does it. That's why I'm going to leak right now. There's a what am I going to leak? There's a brand new Chibi Robo game coming up. It's going to one of our questions after this article. So get excited about that. Chibi Robo. The user in the background, as he doesn't like the attention. The user says that they have been in contact with 3 sources regarding Paper Mario Remaster. Always, this is a remaster and nothing has been announced by Nintendo. Quote, as some of you know, I do hobby journalism behind the scenes and research various things for some fun. Some accurate Nintendo rumors that were reported by YouTube and other sites in the past partially were based on my research. As I said, I don't like the attention and thus always asked everybody to keep me private, which I intend to continue to remain private in these stories. However, now that I have something super excited that I'm aware of, Paper Mario: The Thousand Year Door Remaster is finally happening and coming out soon. I have been in touch with 3 sources, and this one of them redirected me to the 3rd source, who I hadn't interacted with before, so it was just me cold messaging them on LinkedIn. Because this is the 3rd source, wouldn't acknowledge that the release date I had heard from the previous 2 sources. I'll just leave this as coming soon. I informed both Nintendo Prime and at Nate Drake about this privately. There's one more person I have informed, but they wish to remain anonymous. I personally had always wished for the Thousand Year Door Remaster. I'd never played it on GameCube, so I'm over the moon to finally play this Switch soon. And this is exciting. Hold on, I've got to clear myself out. Give me a second. Doing pretty good. Haven't coughed yet either, so go me. So, the Thousand Year Door. I've been really excited to play this as well. I'm going to play it this year, and I'm going to play the first Paper Mario on 64. I had that in Virtual Console on Wii, and I fell off of it, and I want to move that into Thousand Year Door. So they're 2 games I want to play this year, and I've got Thousand Year Door ready to go on emulator. I know, bad Drew, but I've got my nice, Retro Fighters GameCube controller. I've got the setup on my TV with my Mac Mini. I'm all ready to go. I can play the game in 4K. It's going to be amazing. I'm going to really enjoy it when I play it. But if there's going to be a remake on Switch, excellent. Of course, I'd like to play it on there. I prefer to play it on Switch with a official remaster, widescreen, all that beautiful stuff. And this game hasn't had a re-release. It's only been on GameCube, and it's just been a cult classic. It's like, oh, Thousand Year Door, fantastic. It's like, oh, I'd love to play that. Where can I get it? Nowhere. You can get a very expensive copy on GameCube, or you can download it on the dark internet. So yeah, I think it's great that there's a rumor out there. I hope it's true, and really, I can see it being true as well. It makes a lot of sense. Like the last Paper Mario game was 2 years ago with the Origami King 2020. And just like the idea of what we know about Nintendo's lineup, we got the big hitter, the biggest game of the year will be Tears of the Kingdom in May. I think we have June off. I think we got June off for Nintendo releases. And then in July, on the 21st, we got Pikmin 4. And apart from that, we don't know much about what's going on. So I can see some re-releases sort of slotting in there, making up the rest of the release year. And this one makes a lot of sense, just as far as when the last one came out and the idea of re-releases filling up the schedule. So looking forward to it, man. But we got a question as well from Delphino Jurians. And she asks, there's rumors of a remastered GameCube game coming to the Switch, which game it is most likely, and which game do you wish it would be? I wish it was Chibi Robo, but my brain knows that is very unlikely. Yeah, probably very unlikely for Chibi Robo, but I think the GameCube version would be pretty cool to get re-released on Switch. It wouldn't blow anyone away, but just having it accessible would be great. I'd love just to be able to pick that up on Switch and access it that way, because there's been was it a Chibi Robo Ziplash on 3DS. I got a copy over there, which I haven't taken out the box. I just got it for the Amiibo. Got it for like $10 as well. That was like a pretty poor, just like platformer. Nothing too much to it. But I heard the GameCube game was great, and the DS game was pretty cool too. But I think it's the GameCube game that's really cool. But as far as like games, I'd want like not Origami King, A Thousand Year Door. That's definitely up there. It's one I'd really like to play. I've been playing Metroid Prime Remastered, so Metroid 2 Echoes I'd love to see on Switch as well. We'll get the remastered treatment because I don't want to jump into 4 without playing the first 3. I think that'd just be, well, it wouldn't be silly. I don't feel like I'm like taking in the story and really trying to understand what's going on in Metroid Prime 4 when it eventually comes out, but I just want the context of how, Retro Studios evolved the series and having such a big gap between 3 on the Wii and 4. It'd be interesting just to see how like a new group of people, had their take on a brand new Prime game. And what year do you reckon it's going to come out? Don't know about next year. I reckon if when or if we get the announcement for Metroid Prime 2 remastered or just a re-release, whatever it is, I think we can sort of space it out and sort of work out when Metroid Prime 4 is going to come. So just as an example, say in 6 months' time after Metroid Prime remastered, we get the remaster of the second game. I think we can expect the same amount of time for the re-release of the third game, and then that will play in nicely to whatever marketing Nintendo's got for the fourth game. So we can sort of use that as spacing out to figure out when the fourth game is going to release. So I'm keen. I am keen to check out the second game. I've got to finish the first game though. But pretty cool. So yeah, definitely the second game. But there's some others that I really don't expect. I'd love to see the Pokemon games, Pokemon Coliseum, Pokemon XD, Gale of Darkness, come to the Switch, just having an official re-release where people can experience it, pay money, rather than just like, all right, I got to get a 400 copy secondhand, or I can download it online. That's literally your options at the moment. And it kind of doesn't make any sense just to have those games just doing nothing. You may as well sell them. Sell them, Pokemon Company. You're not going to get my money selling remote raid passes for God knows how much, but you will get my money selling a ancient GameCube game. That's for sure. Any others I really want? I think just the obvious ones, like all the big hitters like Smash Brothers Melee and even Double Dash. Just having these games as accessible, I think it's really important because I really appreciate the NSO just for having those games, just being able to jump back and forth and seeing what's going on. But GameCube has just never had a virtual console, and it's kind of annoying that you just can't access those games. Like I'm going to play Pikmin this month, and I can't buy it. I can get the Wii version with the pointer controls, but I don't want to play it that way. I want to play it like the original way, and there's just sort of no way to do it. So a little bit frustrating for the first 2 Pikmin games as well. And that might be a similar situation for Pikmin 4, where you can only get Pikmin 3 on Wii U and 3DS, but it's not really a story-based thing either, so it's not too important. But I'd like just to see the advancement of the series going into the 4th game. All right, second to last story before we move on with the show. Rare co-founder teases fans with Dream 64 cartridge, and this article is from My Nintendo News. In the 1990s, Rare was working on a project titled Project Dream, which eventually morphed into the beloved Banjo-Kazooie, which launched on the Nintendo 64 in 1998. Project Dream was originally intended for the Super Nintendo and then changed to the more powerful Nintendo 64 hardware. The main protagonist in the game was a young lad called Edson who caused plenty of trouble with pirates. The Super Nintendo version was isometric, and the Nintendo 64 allowed more complex 3D environments. Rare eventually decided to scrap Edison, and the Project Dream concept was reintegrated into 1998's Banjo-Kazooie. Fast forward today, and Rare co-founder Tim Stampler randomly tweeted a photo of Dream 64 Drev cartridge hooked up to a Nintendo 64 and TV with the visuals showing Captain Blackeye, who appeared in the sequel Banjo-Tooie. Tim Stamper has uploaded the short video clip which was made for the Nintendo 64. Soshinkai show in 1996. The video shows Captain Blackeye standing underneath a palm tree with a treasure chest and says, "So it is true then, the Nintendo 64 treasure does exist after all. It's mine, all mine." So this is just really cool, just video game history, just unearthed from Tim, and it's really cool to see. I'm not a big Banjo-Kazooie fan. It's a game that I've played a bit, and I'm like, oh, cool. But it's tricky because I don't have the nostalgia for Banjo-Kazooie. So, all of the technical limitations of Nintendo 64. It's sort of hard to get into, but I enjoy it for the most part, and it's why I'm able to go back to Mario 64 so easily, because I have a lot of nostalgia for Mario 64 and a lot of other Nintendo 64 games. But just seeing this is just really cool. I didn't know anything about like the Project Dream sort of aspect, and that it was a completely different game, and that it's it morphed into Banjo-Kazooie, and it would have been really interesting if they kept on going with like this pirate theme and everything that's going on with Project Dream, and if Banjo-Kazooie never existed, what would have changed? Would this character might have been more popular? It might have made Nintendo keep them, not sell them. I don't know. Who knows what could have happened? But interesting regardless. I saw some people like basically asking like, can you like rip the ROM and put it online for video game preservation? I'm not sure if that's happened, but that would be cool. That would be very cool to actually see, some of this stuff actually be accessible to a lot of us. We just jump on and try it. That'd be pretty cool. But who knows? I dare say, I don't really want people playing this, but I want people to see the startup screen. Yeah. I don't know how many people actually know about it. Like, how many people played it at this show all the way back in 1996? Pretty cool stuff anyway. Last story is the Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters get a new release date, and I'm reading this from Vooks.net. The Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters had previously an ambiguous release date of Q2 2023, but now they don't, and it's sooner than you think. The collection will drop on April 19th. Yes, just a couple of weeks away. They're still only available digitally so far here in Australia, and now available for pre-order on the eShop for a mere $107.95. You can buy the first three separate for $17.95, or the last three for $26.95. Thankfully, someone at Square Enix listened, and they gave the ability to swap out the terrible new font for the pixel-based ones if you choose. The Final Fantasy Pixel Remasters are available physically in Asia regions, and the cartridges are multilingual. So if you're keen, you can pony up the postage, and they're available at playasia.com. So pretty cool, and there's some really cool sort of quality of life features as well, where you can move the experience earned in battle up to 4 times, the currency earned to 4 times, random battles turned off, and that's going to be really useful for me, because I'm really keen to experience the Final Fantasy games, and I want to play through them all. I want to play through the first 6 in order, and while the first all of them apart from 4 and 6, they're the ones everybody really sort of talks about and enjoys, and I want to play them all and just see how the series advanced, especially over the Nintendo consoles, the early Nintendo Entertainment consoles. So I'm just really keen to do it that way. But I don't need to grind for hours and hours just playing Final Fantasy 1. So I'm glad that these features are implemented. So I sort of just want to experience it. I don't want to sit there and have to grind up my characters. Otherwise, I just will not finish the game. I'll fall off very quickly, because I'm very keen to play Final Fantasy 16 too. I think that might get my attention a little bit more than Final Fantasy 1. But looks great, man. I cannot wait to pick it up. I'm not going to pick it up at launch or this month. Probably even before Zelda, but when it goes on sale or when I'm ready to get it, I'll download it then. I'll buy them all as the pack. So pretty cool. Very excited for it. I'll be keen to hear from anybody who's looking to jump into the Final Fantasy games. Whether you're a big fan or the first time playing the series, I'd love to hear from you guys. You can @ me at iDruby on Twitter. All right, let's jump into Reggie's Rec Room, and I want to talk about my experience of getting into Metroid, and why it's brought up some concerning things as far as what's going on in my head. Oh, there's a mess up there.
Hi, Nintendo fans. Reggie here. Thank you for your never-ending support, for giving me a mushroom kingdom full of incredible memories that I will never forget. Ever.
All right, we are popping the champagne with Reggie Fils-Aimé. Thank you very much, Reggie, for being here at the House of Mario. I really appreciate it. It's a bit flat, though. I think you popped it a little bit too hard. Do shake it beforehand, you bloody cheeky bastard. But I want to come to Reggie's Rec Room. I want to talk about my experience getting into the Metroid series over the past couple of weeks. And I mentioned at the start of the show that I've been playing through Metroid Fusion, finished it. I enjoyed it. It sort of stayed in my head. I wanted more, even though I wasn't like, oh, that was an awesome game. It had a bit of a pushback on me. But I'm like, all right, it's time to jump into Metroid Prime. It's time to experience this game for the very first time. It's time to just channel my inner 2002, when those games came out on the same day in the US in November. And 2002, that's before I was a gamer. That was before I had my Game Boy Advance. That was before I was playing Pokemon. That was before my gaming time. It really was. I've been gaming for 20 years. I feel like I got into gaming late. I was 9 years old when I got into gaming, and I think it's not that late. But like compared to some of my friends, and like Bryce, he's like been playing since he was like 4 with his Nintendo 64 and whatever. So I always felt a little bit late, but it's been 20 years. There's been a couple of experiences I've had in the lands, but not too much Metroid. And I was thinking, like, why didn't I get into Metroid when I was a kid? I got in, obviously I found Zelda and a lot of the Nintendo franchises, but Metroid really wasn't one that I got into. And I was thinking about it, and I was like, well, my first 8 years pretty much of playing games, there was no brand new Metroid game. Didn't have a GameCube, and I didn't really get around that many Game Boy Advance games. So Metroid Fusion and Zero Mission, they just really weren't on the cards, really. So, and it wasn't until many years later where, with the DS, with Metroid Prime Hunters, and I got the DS for my birthday in June. The DS came out in Australia February, like 26th or something. That date rings a bell. I can't quite remember, but it was like towards the end of February. And I only got the DS a couple of months after it came out, and it didn't come with the demo. It's a little bit disappointing, so I had to wait for the full game of Metroid Prime Hunters. And I really enjoyed Metroid Prime Hunters. I thought it was really cool. I really enjoyed the multiplayer, how it used all the different hunters, how you could use them in multiplayer. They're all different abilities, different morph ball forms, or I don't know what they called it, but Samus has the morph ball, but then these different characters, there's a character, I forgot their name, sorry, it's been that long, but there's one that turns to like this slug. There's one that has goes around like a Beyblade, and they're all really unique. It's actually really cool, and it's just like the characterization was done really well in Metroid Prime Hunters, even though it wasn't made by Retro or whatever. It was made by more of a technology company within Nintendo of America. So it was just it was a cool game to get into, but I think I got turned off because just the story, it got not the story, but the campaign got a little bit boring, and I got lost, and the bosses, they just recycled bosses again and again, and it's fair enough for a DS game. They got to keep it small, I guess, but I just didn't fall in love with it, and I didn't really give it another chance, to be honest with you. And even to this day, I only gave it a chance with Metroid Fusion because Josh and I were doing a show focusing on the Game Boy Advance, and I personally want to play a lot of the Game Boy Advance games, especially the best ones. Metroid Fusion was one of the top rated on Metacritic Game Boy Advance games. So I'm all right, it's time to jump into it. And after finishing that, really got the itch to get into Metroid Prime, and I want to finish Metroid Prime just so I understand what the game's about. Also, it's like a new release this year for Nintendo, the remaster come out. So the absolutely perfect time to get into it, and we're going to be leading up to Metroid Prime 4 later on down the track, so we need to get the ball rolling as far as getting into that. And I'm about, I would say 2/4 through the game. And I respect the game, but I can't say that I'm enjoying it, and it's really sort of shown to me that I might be suffering from something. And it's nothing too much. It's not going to kill me, but it is something I'm going to call modern gamer syndrome. And modern gamer syndrome is, this is how I'm going to describe it. Is we're used to modern game design, where we are. Wait, hold on. All right, we're back. Chantel just had to get the keys off me and ask me a couple of questions since I've been sitting in here for 2 hours recording the podcast. But where I was just talking about, modern gamer syndrome, as far as how I say it is we're all so used to playing modern games where it's all about, being directed to the right place and having a linear experience for the most part, or, showing it clearly what we need to do, where we need to go. And I guess, over the past few years, I've been used to that as far as playing games that have been directing you and give you a clear idea of what you need to do. But Metroid really isn't that. And Metroid Prime, especially being in a 3D environment, I've been using a guide for this game, and I've got no idea how I would even think about getting through this game without a guide. I got no idea. Just like, certain, you get an item, like, oh cool, I'll use this there, and you progress, through the area. But no, it's like you got to backtrack through all this, and you got to find a little hole, and you go down here, and it's just like a completely different way to use the map. And I'm also, when it comes to like exploration, I think The Legend of Zelda has taught me a lot as well. As far as, you can look for cracks in the wall to bomb, or if you can find little secrets, and you'll find the chest, and you come back to the main route, and you keep on going. But with Metroid, there's no like secret area necessary. Well, there is, but there's so many like branching paths. You're like, which one's the right one? I got no idea. And you go down this big rabbit hole, and you're like, well, can't do anything there. And I don't know. I think it's a lot of me just not being patient as well when it comes to playing games, and maybe rightfully so, because I get limited gaming time like a lot of adults do. And when I get my son to bed and it's time to play some games, I got like a couple of hours to really dive into a game. I might be a little bit tired as well, but you got to make use of what you've got to get some gaming time in. And do I want to use it just like going around Metroid, just being like, all right, where do I need to go? Where do I need to be? I don't know. I don't think that is exactly what I need when it comes to like my gaming time. And it's honestly why I avoid games that I'm interested in, like Elden Ring and Dark Souls and things like that. They look like a lot of fun, but I just do not have the patience. And I've got the time. I can just be like, this is the game I'm playing for the next couple of months, and I will learn it. I will get better at it, but I don't necessarily have the patience for it, because I want to be moving a little bit more quicker. I want to feel rewarded for what's happening in the game. And typically with Metroid, if I'm just getting lost, or especially in Metroid Prime Remastered, it's like it's got certain save points. There's no auto save, so if you die, you're going back to your last save. And I've had a couple of moments where I've been upset, being set back. I haven't raged at a game in a while, but that made me rage, because I'm just sort of like 40 minutes just down the drain. I'm like, you got to be kidding me! I've got a limited amount of time, and it's gone down the rabbit hole. But this is something I want to tackle as far as myself. And it's something that I acknowledge in myself. I've never claimed to be a high-skilled gamer. I'm not doing speed runs. I'm not in some fighting game tournament. I'm just your average day gamer. I love playing the games, putting the thumbs on the sticks, all of that. But I do acknowledge that maybe my hand is getting held a little bit too much. So I haven't finished Metroid Prime yet, but I'm keen to, play some more Metroid games. The feeling is in me. I really want to, experience more of this and try and get rid of my modern gamer syndrome, which is all about not relying on the game telling me what to do, and, just exploring for myself. And I'll work it out after a couple more Metroid games, whether it is me or it's the series or it's just not for me necessarily. Because for exploration, like in Breath of the Wild or a Zelda game, I don't know what to do, but I enjoy exploring those places. Whereas like in Metroid, it's a completely different feel. It's very, very, it's tense, it's scary. It's alone. It's not small areas that you feel claustrophobic. And that's what the series is all about. And I think that's what makes it stand out, especially within just within like the amount of Nintendo franchises as well. This is like the one Nintendo franchise that isn't cute, that isn't adorable. Even like, you got the wacky characters in Zelda and all that. You got like the, some terrifying bosses, but for the most part, like Metroid is like the series was like, oh, everything's gross. Everything's, ugh. Every planet she goes to just wants to kill her. And, she's a badass. She's very soft-spoken. She's got very few words. So I'm definitely getting an appreciation for Metroid as I go forward. Very glad that I played Fusion, and looking forward to getting through Prime and having a break, but then getting into maybe Super Metroid or whatever have you on the NSO. But it's definitely something I want to tackle a bit more. Just with I think a lot of us might be this way if you haven't played Metroid like growing up or whatever. It's definitely a language. I feel like a game design language that you need to get used to. but I'm enjoying it. And maybe I'll go into some other games that are a little bit like it as well. I'm really keen to play the Castlevania games and maybe some other stuff like Hollow Knight and all that as well. But I want to try and take off the training wheels, because I've got the training wheels at the moment with the walkthrough, but just if I don't want to be there for hours and hours and hours, like looking where to go, I don't know how I'll go. Because I just did what did I just get? I got the grapple shot. I'm like, cool. And I looked at the walkthrough, and you've got to go back to like the lava area and use it to grapple up to the ceiling and use the morph ball to move the platforms to get to this other door. What did it give you? I forgot what it gave you now. But anyway, it gives you like another weapon. I'm like, how the hell would I have found this? The first time people play it, they take like 20 or 30 hours to play it. I don't know. God, it's just it baffles me. It really does. But I appreciate just how, especially for like a game in 2002, how intricate each area was. It's very impressive. It's very impressive for like a first 3D Metroid game. And I'm keen to see if a Retro Studio sort of advanced their techniques going forward, and what a brand new Metroid game is going to look like. It's going to be really exciting. But I'm glad just to experience the series to understand what it's about, rather than just being like, oh, well, it's not for me. But I want to understand what it's about, even if I have to use a guide. And much to a lot of people's chagrin, I'm not cheating. I just need help. I need help. I suffer from modern gamer syndrome. It's a real thing, and it's all modern game design's fault, not mine. Yeah, gotta blame someone else. You always gotta blame someone. All right, let's move into the Red Coin releases. There's a couple of releases this week I want to talk about, which I'm keen to try out, but like I said earlier, I've got a big backlog, so I won't be jumping into them that early, but you guys might want to jump into them. Let's talk about them. The first one is Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. The Battle Network is back. Get ready to jack into the net and face off against deadly enemy programs and electrifyingly grid-based battles, and search the net for the race and powerful battle chips to build the ultimate deck of special moves. This renowned Mega Man Battle Network series, which has expanded into anime and comics, is back in the Mega Man Battle Network Legacy Collection. This bundle includes 10 action-packed games, plus additional features like a gallery of illustrations and music. Ooh. In addition, online play is supported. In 200X, the rapid advancement of internet technology has created the network age. People have come to enjoy the benefits of network technology through portable exploration devices called PET, a personal simulation program called NetNavi. The network world expands and life becomes more convenient. However, network crime is raging. Main character Lan and his NetNavi Mega Man EX join forces to confront these incidences. Ooh, that sounds exciting. So I'm actually really keen to play these games. There's the games that have released on Game Boy Advance, RPGs. There's basically 6 mainline titles. I think the last 3 or 2 games had 2 versions, similar to what the Pokemon series has done with like Red and Blue and Ruby and Sapphire, etc. So pretty keen to check these out. I just don't have the room to put him into my backlog, but I'm very keen to play these games, especially since I'm on my Game Boy Advance playing Run at the moment. But yeah, they look really cool. I've always looked at them and thought they were great, so just having them accessible on modern platforms is really cool. Next one is Wildfrost. The sun has frozen over. Succumbing to the wild frost, the town of Snowdwell and its survivors stand as the lost bastion against the eternal winter. Build up a deck of powerful card champions and elemental items as you battle to banish the frost once and for all. We got some dot points here. Perfect your card battling skills and craft a deck unique to you as you journey across an unforgiving frosty landscape. Collect and upgrade card companions ready to withstand waves of cute Pengus, Gooblers, and brutalish boss monsters. Oh. Plan ahead in battles with help of a dynamic counter system and map out your next move and fend off frosty foes. Upgrade and customize your favorite companions with woobly charms to enhance their powers. Take shelter in the town of Snowdwell between runs. Consecutive buildings to unlock new cards, tribes, events, and more aid to fight against your everlasting frost. Test your skills with daily runs and challenges, creating endless replayability. That took a bit to get off my mouth, didn't it? So, Everfrost caught my eye just with its really nice art style, cartoon art style, really bright and vibrant. Really like the look of it. Card game seems like it's God, I forgot what it's called now. You know, the genre where you go for runs and then you die and you go back, but you're like, you know, keep your roguelike. That's the one. It's a rogue. Seems like it's a roguelike, which I didn't know before reading this. But yeah, it's cool if you're into card games. Go and check it out on the Nintendo eShop. About a little bit under $30. So go and check that out. So yeah, very keen for Mega Man, but we'll save that for later in the year. That's on my wish list, and it might stay there for a while, but who knows. All right, let's move into the end of the show. We got Doug Bowser's hot takes, and we all know Doug Bowser. He's got some hot takes. He's got some takes that he says, "Hey Drew, I want you to defend my hot take, and whether you agree with it or not." I'm like, all right, Doug Bowser, my Lord and Savior, what you got for me this week? And this week is actually probably a pretty common opinion for a lot of people, and especially maybe if you're not a big Nintendo fan. But the hot take this week is Nintendo should stop relying on nostalgia. And I haven't thought about this at all, to be honest, but let's jump into it. So we've got the minute timer. We've got a minute to jump into what this means. And then we'll move on from there. So 3, 2, 1. Nintendo should stop relying on nostalgia because I'm sick of feeling nostalgic when I'm playing Nintendo games. I'm playing The Legend of Zelda, and when I play Tears of the Kingdom, I do not want to be bombarded by because it will take me all the way back to my childhood, and there will be just memories of my mum bending down and saying, "Drew, I love you, son," and my father saying, "Hey, mate, do you want to go and play catch with the old pigskin?" And I'll remember those memories, but then I'll be flashed back all the way back to present day, and I'll think to myself, "Oh my gosh, everything's so sad." And I'll just be overrun by depression, and depression will hurt so much, and it'll be very hard. So I think Nintendo should stop relying on nostalgia, because as an adult, we don't want to be depressed. We don't want to remember the good times. We want to be just content with how things are in 2023, even though times are very tough. But apart from that, it's not too bad, eh? That's a minute. Jesus Christ, I don't know where that came from. I feel all right, but yeah, it's a bit of a lesson I just learned about myself, isn't it? Christ. Maybe I should stop playing games, if that's the case. Anyway, if you've got some hot takes you'd like me to defend, you can email me at drew@thehouseofmario with the title Doug's Hot Takes. You can also leave them in our Discord community. There's a link in the show notes, so go and check that out if you'd like to have me defend a hot take. And you can do the most heinous hot takes if you like. That one was pretty safe, really, but it is what it is. So everybody, thank you very much for listening to episode 249 of The House of Mario. Before I go, I'll queue up this week's jukebox. I'm going to make it very, very easy for you guys. We've got a bit of hype going on. But apart from that, you can guess what game it's from, and you can leave your thoughts on Twitter or a social media platform with the hashtag #ThomZeldaHype. Let me know what you thought of the episode, and also go and check out the Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube comments at youtube.com/iDruby. Leave a review, a comment. Let me know what you thought of the show. I really do appreciate it. But until then, guys, the doors to the House of Mario are closed. I'll catch you later.